Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ascent to Glory Kickoff. We just got done with a fantastic best of one that was powered by Vanta, and now we get to go into a best of three powered by XP League. My name is Sam Tonks. Joining me is Hail Monkey Man. And so, Monkey Man, when we go from these best of ones right into a best of three, that kind of it massively, not just kind of massively changes how the teams are not only going to strategize, but also more opportunities for themselves to be able to recover after a map loss.
Yeah, you go from maybe a minimum of 20 to 25 minutes of, I was about to say Rocket League, of Valorant over into possibly 3 hours of it, depending on how long some of these drives are. So there's a lot of stratagem and a lot of thinking, and you have the time to recover, especially when you go onto maybe more default maps like Ascent, which are very difficult to get an initial plug and read against your opponent, but then you get to see tendencies. If we were maybe to evolve, let's landscape at least a little bit, because you were talking about how we can make strategies out there that all generals out there could maybe glean from. If Crits was that just big bonus player that had a 30 bomb, they were amazing on Ascent, you would maybe key into, all right, we want to play either multiple swing into this kind of player, or maybe run away from when it comes to their map pick. So maybe something will get keyed up like that into this best of three.
Absolutely. And for our first matchup here, or our best of three matchup, it is going to be Minotaur versus Northern Virginia Community College. And we've been talking about those maps. So let's go ahead and take a look at where exactly we are going to be going. First off, starting on Bind into Lotus. And if we need to, right back into it, Monkey Man, Ascent. But starting off with Bind, right? This is another one of those maps that has the big gimmick with the TPs. This is if things are going a little bit sideways for the attackers, pop into the teleporter, go right over onto the other site. And so defenders are going to need to keep up with what exactly is going on here. Now, we've been talking a lot about the nerfs that have been happening, especially to agents like Jet. This is actually a really good map for Raze. So even with those Jet nerfs, if you have a good Raze, should still be able to find a lot of success on Bind.
Yeah, Raze has been left untouched, and maybe that has allowed for movement in onto the throne and a new crown for the best duelist. But I've seen some play when it comes to actually getting tricky with Yoru because of the change up of where we have teleporters. In case you're somehow 6 months or 7 months late to the party of where that happened, well, let me remind you, TP has changed from way back and away outside of showers on A to being very, very close by. And I've seen a lot of those kind of change up fake TPs that come out of Yoru, but that's soon to be seen. This is also a big mashup, just a collision course between a couple of squads that really can provide us with some high-level Valorant. You have Northern Virginia Community College, that's Nova. They have a very well-established esports club. And then Minotaur, who comes in as your 2023 XP League North American Finals Valorant champions. Put that on a t-shirt and make sure you sell a lot of it. So this is going to be a pretty stand-up matchup from high schoolers and community college students.
And when you think about that high-level gameplay, the sort of age range that we have going on here, the fact that we're seeing Minotaur out here on this stage, it really goes to show you what the next generation of Valorant and just what esports in general is starting to look at. And that's why when we have events like these, the Ascent to Glory Kickoff powered by the U.S. Army ROTC, and Esports U, it really makes for some interesting sort of visions into what the future is going to be looking like, even in looking towards the professional Valorant scene and how amazing that's going to be. It makes me so happy when we get the chance to be here for these events, Monkey Man.
Honestly, it's so neat because, you know, I can suffer down in silver. Silver is for suffering, and apparently everything else is for seeing that level of glory be attained. I mean, these guys are ready to ascend to it, and be that in an academic manner and following along with their progressive rank grind or otherwise. They're showcasing that they're here to take seats, take steps to success, and to succeed further into multiple lanes of careers, and be that their studies or maybe just some good old pew pew. That's what we get to do here. So we get to have Bind, we get to have Lotus, we get to have Ascent, and it's neat that Ascent is still, it's always going to be, I think, our comfort zone. Where do we lie when it comes to comfort for Lotus? Because we saw a lot of dynamic change up at the pro stage, and I think there's still some newness to be learned, especially post-patch.
I would say, though, that for Lotus, it's pretty much formulated out, right? Big questions really just comes down to what smokes you want to play on it. Viper, Omen, Astra, Omen, Astra, Viper, right? Lotus is a pretty simplistic map in that sense. It just really comes down to the movement techniques. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Bind Agent Select over at Minotaur, already locking in on the Brim. The double duelist has come back out once more with a jet raise over on the side of North Virginia. Still with their options, we see some out there. The very interesting one being that Chamber.
Yeah, Chamber has been allowed some movement back into proper meta, especially for moving into Truck and Lamp. I've seen a lot of that kind of upward scaling. And then, of course, when you see Sky got hit real hard when it came to recent patch. So another measuring stick. We were talking about the barometer and the pressure that Jet players are now under. I want to see how Oreo is going to be on that Sky, but hard confirming onto the Viper and seeing the double controller on that. I'm not surprised at all. This is pretty meta standard out of Nova, and the key switch up you're seeing an opposite of that is going to be the Jets, and then the Fade, who's not faded too hard in their own position. All of the Prowler being kind of really different. Minotaur is going to maybe bring in some hard swinging into this fight.
I'm very curious. Minotaur going with the double duelist versus Nova's double controller. And I'm more of right set on Bind. Can't be understated how valuable that is. Brimstone and Viper, especially when you think of A site, right? When you go on to A, being able to cut off half of the map and have smokes on Heaven, that is so valuable. And you do get that with the one Brimstone, but you get so much more out of it. The double control. Same thing can be said over here on the B site. Cut off half the site using Viper. Brim can save the multitude of smokes that he has, use one to cover going into elbow. There's so many different opportunities that you have with a double controller that you won't get out of the double duelist. So whatever Minotaur's plan is, it's going to have to be, I'm feeling like, very decisive. It's going to have to be very wanting to execute quickly onto that. And then when we go even further, right, the Minotaur is deciding that they are going to be defending first.
Yeah, this is going to be Minotaur trying to turn Nova's chess match into a barroom brawl, flipping the table and absolutely just going at them and being ham, especially because you have a Jet that, well, their wings have been clipped, their air has been turned to zero, and it's hot out here, especially on Bind. So with a little less wind, will they be able to succeed off of that? And the Fade is going to be very active when it comes to grabbing that intel. The double controller is a great standard because you have kind of your half perma, pretty perma control smoke setup when it comes to the talk screens. And if you haven't seen it, well, it's been a while, not really. You get that great lineup of talk screen that can be able to cover frontside hookah through TP and then further covers into shower play. So there's a lot of power by Viper here, and being able to move around with the Brim is it's too good because you can clear out U-Haul right here with these lovely lamps over and with your orbital strike. So continuing to be just as powerful, but with that 9 ult play, we didn't see that get really too hamstrung in our previous match.
Monkey Man, I'm going to admit something to you. Playing Valorant. I've probably got 500, 600 hours in it now. I've always wondered why Lamps was called Lamps. And now thanks to our amazing observers, able to figure out why Lamps.
Never looked up?
I've never looked up. What reason would I have to look up in that room? So this has been a learning lesson here for all of us. But yeah, and I really think that we do need to hit on the double controller setup here. It's so important because especially in the post lane, you have Viper, you have Brimstone, you have good being able to cut off angles, being able to protect the spike in your post planes, and for Nova being on that attacking first, the post planes, especially if they have lineups, could be disastrous for Minotaur unless they are able to clear them out, and especially when you throw an orbital strike, so much difficulties.
it does look like we've decided here with Nova. They're going to be frisking themselves straight down mid. They're going to throw out that Pathfinder, which also has less health, by the way. So everything is just made slightly less fun off of this util. Lobos has gone all the way into TP, but they get diffed on the chamber for that first blood.
I've never seen the chamber TP being the sort of distraction, but it turned out to be just enough for Mondo when they made that peak. Lobo was deciding when their head whether or not they would take it out, but we are going to see the spike planted. Minotaur in a very rough position, a 4v5, going down to the ground. Or drop, makes the swing, gets the headshot. Nash is out of here, going for another one. A little bit of potential action happening there, but caught out by the Prowler. It's going to be enough for Shasha to come in and take them out. Minotaur looking towards maybe equalizing things out here, but with the spike running down in time and their numbers running low, the HP to follow along with it. Maddie, oh, it's just going to be too easy for them. It's Gitchy Shasha coming out of showers, but Extreme Kyle knows exactly where they are, and that's going to be Nova taking that first round.
Telling them shasha as a 3K drops into their KD bank, and they're gonna be, well, actually that's the lone 3 that Shasha was able to pick up. They've tried to match with Extreme Kyle. No. All right, Kyle. No. That broke me. All right, thank you very much. Nova came in, great plan. Hitting up that talk screen, gave them an easy lane, and honestly, it sets up the option for them to use that mid TP in a moment's notice if their immediate thoroughfares.
Exactly. All right, we're going to see a May site for Northern Virginia once more. This time, no shower presence from Mondo, electing to just go ahead and run it down main, but E7 Retro, a Marshall, and he'll cover inside of Heaven. It's just going to be so easy for Retro to get away with that headshot, and that is going to slow Northern Virginia down at its finest. But the way that the Viper wall is set up, they're going to be able to push through it with the Brim smoke scrolling down. They're going to be able to start approaching forward, but that vibe's going to make things so much more difficult, unless, you know, Mondo's just going to do that. Fire through the smokes and get the pick.
Guardian on round 2. I like that pick. Oh, but that's going to be a nice trade, as you do get Shasha getting a bit of vengeance onto Kyle off of the shorty. So a 3v2, a very winnable venture. But the guiding light is going to flash into close proximity of Truck, and they're holding from distance. Another big Bulldog. They're trying to be able to switch over to their side on that Classic, and now the Molly's going to be prioritized, so they cannot get any of the, at least taken down, and that's Maddie cleaning up house. And that one actually fell short. I think it hit a few too many steps, so they'll upgrade. And now we have Nova with the first 2, but that was pretty messy, and their bonus doesn't seem it's going to be very strong.
Yeah, incredibly messy on their bonus. Nova had a really good opportunity to be decisive on that round. Hard, though, baking down the entire team and almost all of the shields of Maddie. If it wasn't for them throwing down that Molly and swinging through their smoke with the Spectre, could have gone in a totally different direction for them in that 2v1. Still, though, able to clutch it out. That's something that they can look forward to as they go into this bonus. But Minotaur looking very strong in their own right. Now to see how they're going to do to close out this bonus.
Sushi getting cheeky into mid and Oreo. Wow. Okay. Hey, Marshals are just fast-firing operators as long as you hit your shots, right? So,
Monkey Man, that's the same way I feel about my classics, okay?
Those bullets should do more damage, okay? How unrealistic. Either way, it does look like that we're going to continue to run it down here on A until something were to bend or break. Paint shells will at least slow down the initial escapades of the first plant for Truck, but Mondo is here creeping right along, and they may catch him by surprise.
Oh, they see the pixel just enough of Retro. They're going to sneak right up behind them and rip out their jugular. They're going to try for another one, but Tokyo Sushi's Phantom proving to be just a little bit more deadly than that Headhunter. Oreo hiding out beside the crate. Shasha is going to try and flush him out a couple of bullets, maybe hit the wall bank, but now the Haunt goes through. Not going to find anything, but Tokyo Sushi updrafting on top of the crates, getting one, but now he had the classic operator. Not really, but still, Maddie. Oh, right in through the smoke! Kino in a double kill with a Bulldog. Closing out the round, and Nova winning their bonus round.
Put that bonus on the bank. Extra checks, extra credits, and now everyone's been seeing what that Marshall doing, so there's some Marshals out to play, but that's mostly because Minotaur has not been able to grab a round as of yet, so they have a broken bank situation, and they'll try to play into it. It looks like Lobos maybe telling them they're going to play a bit of hero rifle, try and be dynamic, but at this point, Lobos has been very well read by Nova. They're still going to navigate around Sheriff in hand with Shasha, and Retro will be on top of box, not able to rip one off the top, but they will fight it off the second.
Ever since that first pistol round, we've gotten a Marshall kill every single time, and I think every single one of those, Monkey Man, has been a headshot. So we can't understate the power of what this is bringing to the table. Unfortunately, Retro not able to make the magic happen twice. Oreo is going to put that down to the ground, but we've seen this happen time and time again where Minotaur has the numbers advantage, but Northern Virginia is just so good at being able to wrestle it back into their favor, especially when we have the showers action happening there. The push is going to be continuing in through it. The smokes have gone down, and the spike is going to be planted.
Try and press in, get the Seekers expended, and you do have Nash pressing straight into the smoke. This is a horror game, and it's going to be Oreo that will give them the jump scare as they're going to be sent back to the sideline, and Nova continues to just have the power differential. And otherwise, well, Minotaur has one player left, and they're hanging out on B. I don't think they're going to come over. Whatever save or maybe actually, they were the only buy, so they have the one Vandal, and they're going to save that thing, put it on their backpack. But it may be Nova that could get cheeky about running at them if they just don't want them to have anything to bring to next. And otherwise, Nova, they're going to grab these first four with some authority. And Lobos is actually just kind of looking at a corner because it's the fun thing to do when you DC.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
DC, it happens. Happens to the best of us. What are you going to do? The internet just hates you sometimes, and you got to try and reconnect. Unfortunately, that is very sad for Minotaur to lose Lobo like that. At the very least, they didn't lose their weapon, so hopefully they can get back in time. But we're just going to take looks like a small pause, get things back in order, and get Lobo back into here. But still, we got to talk about that round. It starts off really well, right? Minotaur has that early initial pick, especially when you look at Retro using that Marshall, but it's just the follow through was going to be really difficult, especially with what we saw out of Showers, though. That Showers execution from Northern Virginia, it was Extreme Kyle and Mondo that were sneaking their way in through there. They came out of that with the 2 kills, completely freeing up A side. And then the Seekers were really just kind of the safety button, right? It was a safety just in case things were going sideways. It was to figure out where they were going to be, where they're coming from. And that information was good enough for Northern Virginia to be able to close it out. And of course, unfortunately, Lobo got DC'd. They are back now, so
yay.
Minotaur, a better opportunity this time.
No, it's been interesting because Nova's actually gotten initial picks. Or not Nova, but Minotaur is getting initial picks off of those Marshall shots. So I want to see them be able to build upon those. It's very difficult to do because Nova just continues to kind of bulldoze this lane. This is a test of Minotaur's resilience, and to see if maybe the definition of insanity will continue to happen. It's the same thing nearly every time, and they just continue to execute. You do have the paint shells to stop the initial push, but this pause, this stall of Nova really has been able to persist. The rotation comes in heavy-handed. You do have Lobos still hanging out on B in case a rotation were to occur, but I think the splash attack is going to hit, and super effective it will be, as they will go at least look for the initial pick here on A mid.
Yeah, and Northern Virginia is just waiting for Showers to scale up before they really start putting the smokes down. Nash hasn't quite gathered the information that they're still here on A, but does have the smoke ready. Saw enough of that. Saw one is like, all right, time to put that down. And you can see that the smokes have gone through. It was one in main, one in Showers from Nash. Retro to reposition themselves using the satchel. So looking through the smoke, Tokyo Sushi's going to be able to get one, but Mondo trades them out. Retro, that got a little bit scary, but makes the swing, gets the headshot onto Mondo, and now Extreme Kyle flushed out of Showers. That is going to give Minotaur their first round win.
We have just been waiting for Retro to come alive. They've been able to find some collective picks. Nothing that really has been able to get snowballed with, but finally having them exist within the shower of just smoke coming down from all those brim smokes, and then finding an existence that really does delay, dismay, and deny Nova from being able to make it onto site. So great installation right now by Minotaur, and they finally cut short this streak. But now we see kind of a default. We're going to be testing here on B, and that'll be the first in a while, but Spike is still lean out to mid for that possible rotation.
All right, Lobo got their ults, going to be able to use the tour de force. Mondo did hear that. They kind of want to scale up on it, but they do need to be careful in case of Lobo putting themselves out there. Using the trademark to cover inside of Hookah. Lobo, this could be disastrous! Missed the first shot from the Tour de Force, and that's going to be their only shot. Mondo finding the head shot and clearing up B site almost in its totality.
See, that's the unfortunate position you put yourself in as a Sentinel if you don't preset and you're acting on reactiveness for a lot of your gadgets. He put that trademark down late as he rotated away because he wanted the initial peek from Hookah. And now you see the jump peek. You're going to have Nash gonna get blinded off that guiding light, and they're gonna expend the Viper's Pit here. So now this becomes a full extreme of jumping into the GAC. Now the Blade Storm also being activated from Minotaur. And they're gonna try and cut down those knives, dole them out if they were to, moving over to the lamps, and they've identified one, and Kyle will be dropped. That was big for getting rid of this ultimate.
Huge, as a matter of fact. Mondo is gonna be taken down now. Maddie does have the orbital strike. The second they hear the ping of the spike, it's going to be it raining down fire. Now to use the molly, buy as much time as they possibly can. It's a 3v2. Nash, an unbelievable moment from them. 3 kills on the board. Now the 2v1. It was just a little bit too much for Maddie. Now we're seeing even more signs from Minotaur that they know exactly what they need to do to find success, and they are making it happen, Monkey Man.
That's such a 50-50 raw swing coming out from Lamps and just looking straight to double box right there. That's one you have to hit. Otherwise, if that initial player is not getting that kill, that's dead as a doornail, because you're gonna have a 2v2 that's gonna swing from hard points. So great job by Minotaur being able to find at least a couple now. And Nova, all right, they're gonna be kicking back. They're gonna be tested, as they're going to have a couple buys and actually looking into the ultimates. And this ping, being able to get that scan is massive. You get to see the kill from the top rope as they were able to get rid of one, but then ultimately dropping the Viper. Everyone was trying to jump into the sauce.
Everybody was just I feel so bad for Retro. The rays that gets shot out of the sky is never what they want to happen. But Shasha throwing out the Prowler, the Haunt that was taken down, knows that someone is hiding out towards Fountain, but just how much do they want to take that fight? Or they just want to play it safe with Gardens. Oreo now expending the dog, sees where Lobo is. That's going to force them back, make them rotate over towards Elbow. The smokes are going to slow the approach from Northern Virginia. Oh, wait a minute. This could be huge from Shasha, and it is. Mondo just wasn't quite ready for the Shasha defense inside of Gardens. And that's going to be Northern Virginia. Something we haven't seen from them in a long time here, Monkey Man. Just slow.
Trying to play more deliberate. I don't mind it when it comes to playing around the clock. Kyle, I mean, they saw that peak. This has become a pressure play now as they have to walk away. And that's going to be Retro that just finds the better of that position. Really just Kyle unreactive off of the initial peak and thinking that nothing would be hurtful to them. Kino trying to get another. They're gonna get this wallbang spray, bit of a showstopper, if you will, and it doesn't get the kill off the splash damage, but there's even more coming at them. And they got to walk away from the extras as Kino does find another into this 2v3. Wallbang returned in kind to Oreo.
Whoa! Kino, the second sushi, walked into Hookah, ripped their head right off. Kino is putting the absolute work on to Minotaur, something that they needed to do. Nash immediately eliminated, and Kino finding their 4th kill in this round alone, giving Northern Virginia their lifeline back into this game and their 5th round.
Yeah, that was a rough situation because you had what, three main rifles, and then you kind of walked in with some sublets just next to them. So otherwise, you do see Nova. They're going to be able to have that trip by, but otherwise, Oreo and Mondo kind of looking at options to bring in. I think they're going to be maneuvering around some cash, which will see them a bit short-handed. Opposite side, though, Minotaur, off of that loss, to be doing the same and having Retro run around with a Judge. Will we see double Blast Pack Apex Legends level slide movement? Or are they just going to hang out in Lamps, Vice, U-Haul? No, they're going to hang out danger close.
They're going to hang out danger close, so real action is going to be happening towards Shower, but Retro with this Judge could swing things into their favor massively. Whoa! Extreme Quile made the swing look like Retro was going to miss it, but the Judge rings true. Mondo winning out in Showers against Tokyo Sushi, so it's a 1-for-1 pick, 4v4. The spike has been planted, though. This is in Northern Virginia's advantage. The Molly is going to slow things down. Kino finding another headshot, but the wall bang with Nash coming onto site is going to eliminate them, but Oreo Whoa, is able to trade things out immaculately. But Monkey Man, it's a 2v3, and Minotaur looking like they're going to have some difficulties in how they want to do this.
Oh, they couldn't quite line up. I mean, Lobo's able to at least get one. Doppelganger Twinsy is going to be laid down to rest. Into this 1v1, you do have the Molly out. Shasha is going to have to go and take that fight against Oreo, who's just going to walk away from it. They don't need to stick around because the Molly is going to be able to do the damage. Shasha is actually going to commit to it and not going to be able to get the defuse off. Good execution yet again by Nova. And Oreo, ton of credit to this player, quietly cat and mousing their individual fights to put them at the top of not just their own team's board, but also be able to give Nova some of that variable play that just puts Minotaur on edge.
And the way that Minotaur, you can see that they have the skills to execute onto site, but no, it comes back to the talk about that double controller. Once they get set up, the post plans are so much easier for them to fight around with. They didn't need to win out. They didn't need to frag out. They just put down the mollies and stop things in its approach. It weren't able to actually win out there. Sure, Maddie fell. They got Molly off just in time. Now we're seeing Minotaur in a save round. Nash just has the classic in their hand. And typically what I like to see from teams is when they are in these save rounds, be a little bit more aggressive. See if you can find someone out and maybe go for lurks, maybe go for flanks and get a pick here or there.
Yeah, playing default to a low buy. I want to see them get weird with it. And you do at least have one rifle. Aquino will level Lobos in the dome, and they'll have to take separate thinks and thoughts for a while. And Sushi actually leaves a position of advantage. They heard too many footsteps and they kind of got scared away. But they're very hurt here in U-Haul. And now a 4v5 that Minotaur was already at the back end of. Very tough to be able to handle. And, I mean, they're pretty much going to be able to handle this from distance, especially off that Molly.
And it's a clean execution again from Northern Virginia until Tokyo Sushi comes in from elbow. Oreo on the flank of a lifetime. Beautifully executed. Nash, it's that classic that we've been talking about. Tokyo Sushi is going to rotate over. They're going to take this in a 2v1, but Oreo, they're giving them the 1v1s. Finds their first. Maybe going to be able to get their fourth one-way there, but it doesn't really matter because Oreo's landing headshots like it's nobody's business. That's 4 kills for them. And you were saying earlier, Monkey Man, they've been kind of quiet. They're cat and mousing. Well, Oreo did just that again. They're the cat lurking into the back lines. And now we're going to see the timeout from Minotaur.
That is just Oreo doing Oreo things. We got to see it on A side in the previous round, but Kino, I mean, they actually got caught up by Sushi, who really looked to be the one to ruin Nova here on this B site push, but it was Oreo because they came in off of that stellar flank. I thought they were going to get caught on this cloud burst, but not recognizing that they just kind of took on the one way and they owned that smoke. So a great look by Nova, and I do like that Minotaur has decided, okay, let's take a second look at this one. We're 9 rounds in, 10th is in front of us, and we want to time out, just be able to kind of talk it over because this is going to be a big one, especially if they're going to be investing on Lobos getting that operator.
Yeah, and you also had to look at it too. Tokyo Sushi forced in that last round, so they don't have a Blaze Storm. How are they going to buy things out here? What do they want to buy? I think the big thing here for Minotaur as well is, what do we want our positioning to be looking like? The way that Northern Virginia has been executing so far, they really haven't found much success in the way that they defend against Northern Virginia. They are very decisive when they get onto site. They're able to land headshots so cleanly in the way that they swing. I would say for Minotaur, maybe just be able to gather information and play for the post-plant retake. But then again, it also becomes so much more difficult with the way that Northern Virginia has, and it's what I've been talking about with the way that you have the Brimstone and the Viper. The post-plant potential from these two agents is just massive.
Yeah, you don't have the same level of just versatility, especially that Nova is able to kind of dissect these sites. I mean, look how they have created this decoy that has pulled another player over to go to A. You generally have 3 there in the first place. Kyle is going to find that first kill off of Shasha that has been looking pretty decent, and now a great one-way. Look at that lineup, and that'll give them free sight and forward. I'm surprised Nash is not dead, just blinded for a year.
Nash didn't even see their death coming at them. Kino couldn't land the shots until they took a breather, took a second, and then were able to find the killing blow that they needed. Now, up on the high ground, this is a full 5 members. Lobo, operator headshot is just an insult. and then some. But it's like we said, that one way is so beautiful that Kyle set up. Lobos just wasn't ready for it. Couldn't use that operator for anything. Retro is going to try and make that swing, but try is going to be the key word here. Monkey Man. We see Mondo just TP back over to safety, and Tokyo Sushi finding one. Okay, two. The Guardian coming up big time here. They still got to win out in the 2v1, and it just proved to be way too much. A beautiful swing coordinated from these players, and now an operator in Oreo's hands.
Goodness gracious. That was a game of major look by Mondo and Maddie. They took over Garden just off B long, and the TP right as Mondo was taking some of the firefight against Sushi, and then Maddie appearing from behind. That was beautiful. Just being able to kind of quickly play off each other. And this is now going into round number 11, where Nova, and is a beautiful bank situation, they're good for the rest of this first half. A big thing that needs to continuously be recounted is that Minotaur doesn't have a lot of initial denial off of gadgets. So you're going to have the blast pack, you're going to have the showstopper, trying to be able to immediately find some of these opening picks as the orbital strike comes down. Clear sight, and A is open and free.
Yeah, see, sometimes the showstopper isn't all about just getting kills. It can be a really effective tool at clearing sight, and look at exactly what happened here. That is beautiful for Minotaur. Tokyo Sushi. It could have been a little bit dicey, but they've gotten the important pick of Maddie. That's one Molly taken away. If they can get rid of Kyle on the Viper, that could be even more huge. Now we have the Nightfall going forward. Nash, the Stinger in hand, finds Oreo out. It's beautiful. The lamps is being cleared, and the spike being defused. Tokyo Sushi needed to come up big, and come up big they have. Minotaur now finding their third round win, and a thrifty one at that.
All right. They were already planning for the future with some of that save, and so now they've got an even bigger bank, and they've got it with an operator that they don't have to even buy. A great pickup, and that's going to fall into the hands of Sushi, so that has to be an impactful weapon. Or are they going to adjust it to? It looks like they will push Sushi over onto A, and off of this default lean, it's going to be Nova looking for picks off of their entry. They've done such good conditioning here, Sam, off of the talk screen, because they've laid it in the exact same place every single time, just consistently giving themselves that option if they want to in the first place. But these rotations, I mean, they're just catching Minotaur having to look for other options. But you also got just looking straight up, what? Waiting for a window and someone to pop through.
Yeah, why not? Lobo's like, if someone's going to come down here, well, they are going to get absolutely lit up. Interesting way to play. I haven't seen that very often, but Lobo decided, all right, maybe that's not the best idea. Let's go ahead and just tuck ourselves into this corner for safety. Use the TP to get back over towards safety. Lobo now realizing that there's some action happening in Garden, but they haven't been found out. The smokes have come down. Keeping an eye on Hookah, but for Northern Virginia, the masterclass that Minotaur did in that previous round has really made them not want to push their luck too hard.
Just a bit spooked, just looking to take their time, and when they've taken their time, it's actually gone against them. But Oreo, when they find first kill, it usually means good things. Sushi will adjust. They're going to come out from outside showers and lay at least one massive bullet into Kyle, so they don't have the extra smoke. It doesn't really matter. You do have the orbital strike that could initially deny, and that's what's going to happen off of this default. And the plant doesn't happen as of yet. 25 seconds to go, and they may actually run into this TP. Yes, the audible has been called, and they're running right back to A, especially because sight has been called as being fully cleared by Mondo.
Oh yeah, and Mondo is able to set themselves up with this operator. Just enough time for Northern Virginia to be able to set up. Here we have it! Right on through the showstopper. Show-stopping that spike from being planted. Maddie was so close to making it happen. Now we're in a 2v2, but there's not enough time for Northern Virginia. Shasha, the only thing they have to do, Monkey Men, was stay alive, and they did just that. The showstopper saved the day. There is no doubts about that at all, and that gives Minotaur their fourth round, and this half 4-8.
Beautiful. Retro. Getting at least a nice impact, maybe even a motivator to go from the first half to the second. Nova, I think they're going to have a lot of versatility when it comes to the initial denial of entry by Minotaur. This is going to be a tough one for them because they're going to be looking for Retro as well as Sushi to really come up huge on initial push, and they're going to be playing a lot around Nash. So if they can be able to find that, maybe Nova will be leaned onto their heels, but I think there's a much better setup, especially because you're going to have to play against this toxic screen. Now, we are on the pistol rounds, so You're going to have a lot less of those major weapons that we'll see in later investments. Sushi does get the Tailwind activated, but 5 seconds less than they usually are, and they're not really going to be able to find much value unless they're going to duel against Kino. They will jump on box, but Kino gets the jump spot, so they're going to back off.
Yep, they're going to play it safe, not wanting to fight that out. We're seeing a default position from Minotaur, and it's going to be interesting how they do this. Retro is going to find the first pick towards Garden. Oreo is going to go down. Extreme Kyle is going to walk over their Snake Bite, take a little bit of damage, and Nash is going to throw a heck of a lot back damage towards them, finishing them off, and that is going to be Minotaur, a 5v3 and a complete takeover of B-Site.
It's an interesting call by Kyle. Off the swing with Shasha, trying to be able to at least get a couple, and they actually reserve the entirety of that light shield. Penguin in shock. And they're going to try and get some shock drops as well as they turn into U-Haul. This retake is going to be a measuring stick for Nova, especially being down a man coming through. Nothing found off the trademark, but Maddie reveals that they're at least hanging out inside of the sky smoke. They may be crashing through very, very soon.
I don't want to talk about where Nash is set up. If that's a lineup, I'm going to be very scared of them and what they can do with that. All right, Kino. Yep, that's a lineup. Nash is perfectly safe to be able to do that. Time has run out for them, and Kino has to try and do as much damage as they can. Grenade from the Garrett Grave. Reminds me of the Call of Duty days there, Monkey Mana. Marty, though.
What was that one called? Martyr?
Yeah,
Or,
Martyrdom.
Yeah, Martyrdom, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
A little bit of Marty happening on the back end there, but ultimately, Minotaur. They grab a very necessary round, I believe. They get that first pistol, which always promotes into the possibility of getting a big bonus later, as long as you push with this buy-up. Now, we will see Oreo and Kino at least flirt with the idea. We saw so many Marshall kills and headshots they were in our first couple of rounds, first 3, honestly, of the first half. I want to see what Oreo may pop up with here, but they're not going to be finding much because this is a lean quite heavily over to A.
Oh, yeah. The Marshall... It's been an interesting case study in how it works, but yeah, Kino sees... Oh, whoa! Retro, that was so perfectly executed that Kino wasn't even ready for them! Sails right over U-Haul into Lamps. Shasha's not going to be able to survive through it. Now Kyle trying to fight with that. Lobo's finding 2. Retro, another pick on the board for them, and now Mondo and a 1v4 spike planted. I don't envy their position. They're still going to try and fight it out with the Headhunter. Retro realizing where they are. They're going to collapse on top of them. What a swing. What a play from Retro, Monkey Man. It couldn't have been done any more perfectly by them.
I don't know if we have a replay of that, but that play over truck gave me whiplash because I was like, oh, okay, cool. Boombot out from U-Haul, swinging around into TP, pretty default. And they go, surprise! And just right behind them came through. That is good movement out of Retro, which is something that we saw defensively. But when you're a Raze, and then we saw this a lot out of Crits on our previous matchup, you can be weaponized much better, I think, as a Raze on offense because you are trucking. It is a bulldozer, but at a much higher pace than a regular vehicle they be. Kino gets aggressive and will lay out Lobos, so already on the power play here in just the first 10 seconds.
Speaking of a power play, we have the Marshall power play again with a headshot. So new half, new us, but the Marshall is still incredibly scary. Kyle's going to use the snake bite early on to deny the presence coming in through Hookah, whomever they are, but falling back towards site, give themselves another opportunity to take the fight here. Minotaur is trying to decide what exactly they want to do and how they want to take this fight. Call has been made, hit the TP, let's go on to A and duke it out there again.
The 2 remaining on this, and off the Prowler. It's going to be Shasha that just handles Maddie very finely, and then being stuck between boxes, Sushi gets on the spray with Kyle, and this defense really has just turned into shattered glass. No one really existing besides Oreo has a Bulldog and, well, Hopes with 24 HP. They're going to float them very swiftly, but off of the bird chirp, they are turned into Twitter, now just an X on the spot. And that's going to be Minotaur finding the first 3 of this half. And that's not a broken situation for Nova to face.
If I were Shasha, though, I would be thanking my lucky stars because they should have died there. That shouldn't have been them surviving and getting the kill. They had the Prowler out. They were using utility. Maddie made the swing, but the headshots just weren't on their side. Minotaur, kind of quiet on their defense, but now the quiet is being torn away by a Minotaur roar. Their attacking half has been nothing short of perfection. They've won their bonus. The economy is boosted. And now we're seeing a similar talking point that we're having for Northern Virginia in that last half. They don't have the cash. Mondo's going to try and hit a headshot with the head hunter, but no heads to be found, no heads to be hunted. Them trying to survive in lamps, but Oreo's going to find one of the shot. But not going to second one under Retro. Now with a showstopper up in the air, the satchel goes out. The Rockets go forth, but they're not able to get the kill.
Wait a minute. Did they kill him before? Okay.
Doesn't matter.
All right.
Someone else got the kill.
Hey, go and make sure you save that game. All right. Hey, head to the next round. Put that fist back on. Either way, Minotaur is a CR4 enemy, and it's making Nova look like they're only level 3, and none of them are ready for this encounter. Minotaur is looking like they have completely changed the game. 15-11 is Sushi, both duelists in this double duelist composition. I was telling you at the start, this was them looking for a fight. They just had to survive the defense. It didn't have a lot for it, and Nova has not been able to account for a single round win on this next half.
No, they haven't, and that's been the real difficulties that they have been having. Now we're looking at a tied first map here, 8-8. Minotaur had a massive hill to climb, but they've been climbing. They didn't look towards any other direction but up, and they have been going so far so good. But of course, now Nova has guns back in their hand. Mondo takes the first shot, misses it, and now it's the TP back over towards that safety. Kyle still pushed up, maybe might be able to get the pick here, but it's gonna be Lobo trying to take the fight once more up in the air. Tokyo Sushi, that Bulldog has a lot of fight to go with it, but didn't clear out towards where Maddie was. Thankfully, Retro to get the trade there and a B site for Minotaur.
They're getting leveled and outthought right now by Minotaur. Where the mind games are being played so well by Nova, the cat and mouse game has just straight up turned into dog go fetch ball, and they're winning on the speed game to pick them up. Shasha clears Kyle. Now a 3v2. You see the haunt and more of a grasp being chucked in. See if anyone's hanging out inside of Sky Smoke. They're going to try and turn out from elbow. And this is going to be a big defining moment. You do have the showstopper as well for Nova if they want to be able to employ it here. But they'll be very aggressive. They have to find him in the first place. Kino does level Retro. And that becomes Mondo, who turns it to a 1v1. I believe the molly comes down. Man, lineup Larry hitting hard. They are already walking away, and they're going to be able to take a 5th in a row.
It's unreal, these mollies. And it looked like it was going in the direction of Northern Virginia. But Nash, able to stall things out just long enough to be able to go back, seal the deal, save the day, and put Minotaur in the lead. And now we're having our first timeout from Northern Virginia, a timeout that I think should have been called Monkey Man a long time ago. But nevertheless, happening here, a time to talk and a time to discuss at what exactly has been happening.
Oh. Man, I wish I could give Nova a pep talk. Right now, it has been initial picks and pressure from Sushi and Retro. None of the setups that are being contrived by Nova are slowing them down. And, I mean, we can give a ton of credit. I believe that Retro has been hitting it from the sky while Sushi has been doing it from the ground. That combination right now is showing the experience of being in the depth of that differential on rounds, and is just going forth to execute. You're not seeing much of a change up for Nova trying to receive it, and they're being left trying to put their head on a swivel and just not making the reads, and honestly just being out-mech'd right now.
Yeah, and the initial contact that comes out from Minotaur, they're able to get the first picks, and even if they get traded out, the follow-through from the rest of the team is able to secure enough kills to clear out the site and allow them to plant. Because they plant, they're able to rely on the Nash lineups. Nash has been kind of quiet kill-wise, but the impact that they've had on individual rounds cannot be understated. Twice now that's happened. They put down a molly, and they've completely stolen rounds from Northern Virginia in this attacking half that Minotaur has been in.
You're going to see maybe Nova. I can see maybe the change-up happening here. Getting a little bit more aggressive, stealing space that Minotaur wants to have the aptitude to take in the first place. But Retro, again, it's the party parade. They're going to go straight over to U-Haul and see if anyone is waiting for them. But look at this kind of reversal. The only problem is that Maddie was given away because the Haunt was able to identify them now. Minotaur is going to have that easy plant. It's going to be 5v5, and I love the spray off Mondo. That's going to be a turning point.
That is going to be a huge turning point. Mondo, they needed to find it. They got it, and then some. Lobo is waiting inside of showers for whomever. I was going to come with the tour de force, but they looked away. The timing was just perfect for Northern Virginia. They couldn't have been done any more perfectly there, Monkey Man. And a flawless round. A gasp, a breath of air breathed back for Northern Virginia. Now able to tie things up here, 9-9. And this is even more so better for their economy. Right, Monkey Man? They're able to pick up guns, and now they get to go into this next round. Nobody died.
Not a single one. Great flawless round. Mondo coming up with a 3K into that, and it was a time when Nova needed it the most, having to cut short this endless streak. They got 2 at the end of the half, and then 5 to start off this next. Minotaur was probably feeling like they were on something, and Nova had to at least cut that short, but those individual plays, they are sparks, but you have to feed that fire. Sushi's going to have an operator as a buy for Minotaur for the first in a long time. Coming in through. And it looks like they're going to be playing some duels off of here in B long, and you have a triple stack there in Garden to try and play against that long fight.
Yeah, and we see the presence that Nova is putting out. They are going so aggressive here. Tokyo Sushi flashed out by the guiding light, and they could not put that operator to any use. E7 Retro still gonna come up with a double kill to avenge their teammate. Not only avenge them here, Monkey Man, but to make a statement. Now we're gonna see the Nightfall, but Mondo still on this high ground, waiting for the opportunity to go forth. Nash tried to use their, oh my gosh, Mondo, what are you doing? Picking apart Minotaur piece by piece. They still need to be careful, hiding out up on this high ground. So firing through the smoke, sees the head, just enough pixels, may be able to fight this out here, but electing to go back down onto the ground so they can reload.
Trade for trade. This one has been very chippy because they did get a bit of vengeance, and they're committing to the plant for all of a moment before recognizing that there's only into this 2v2, both bodies hanging out in showers, so they're going to be able to at least secure site control for a moment. Maybe give Lobo a chance to get over the window, but Retro is getting aggressive, seeing if anyone will immediately rotate from that defensive posture. So now, rocking and rolling together. They do have the HP diff, but you got to be able to get around these aimers and gamers. One out in Garden, and one very snugly secure into Elbow. Off of the drop from Sand, unless they can be able to hit that box silently, they're going to bring down the Tox screen so they can at least give themselves a better view. And with this snake bite, now they're going to have to get going, and they're going to do it off the Viper Pit.
Yeah, the Viper Pit to push the forward. Lobo gonna make the swing. Oh. This is everything that they could want and more. Now it's the 1v1. Mondo just had to get the final shot onto Retro with 30 HP. But Retro, again, able to take and don the camp of the team to bring them forward to victory. That is the lifeline Minotaur was looking for, and Retro was able to give to them.
I am pacing here, Sam. I am pacing because it's about timing. They look left. And if there was all of just a secure for a moment, you don't have a lot of time to do so as you invest your ultimate to give the walkway through. But as they inexplicably just leave their opponent unsighted, Lobos comes through to take down the pit and then give that chance over to Retro. Such a crazy just entourage of moments between these two. You're going to have this tour de force as well as Mondo now just wants to deny early mid push in sight. The Prowler is going to go up and chomp, make them a bit blinder for a bit longer, and Minotaur really wants to build upon this lead.
That they do. They want to continue to put the pieces together as quickly as they can. And they know. Minotaur knows that Mondo is here with the tour de force. That's why you see they're respecting the long sight lines and not giving it up to Mondo. We can also take a look at what's happening over on B. Maybe poke towards Hookah. They don't want to make any missteps. They don't want to go into the jaws of that tour de force, but they don't want to also be caught out by Extreme Kyle with a judge. That's why they're playing close. And Minotaur, they have this inkling, this idea, and they're gonna get that idea even more with that snake bite. Extreme Kyle's gonna be flushed out, going right in. Retro, they may not be able to get the kill, but Nash is able to get the trade right off the back of their teammate's death. Now Oreo left alone. Mondo's not gonna find anything. Lobo's gonna get 2 on A site, alone by themselves. They've taken away the tour de force. They've taken away the power of a brimstone. And now peeking their head through the smoke, Tokyo Sushi sees it, finds it, and rips it right off the head of Oreo. shoulders
Sushi.
Oreo.
Yeah, so Sushi's not going to be taken aback by timing. They're going to hang on and continue to look at that smoke because they knew they're one of two places, either out on main or they're around that loop. And now Kino's in a rough spot. Right up top, they heard the steps, but they couldn't land the shot. It was just over the bricks. That mortar will lay them to rest as Shasha does the same. 11-9. What do we got on this buy? Well, not a whole lot. Mondo on that chamber save cycle was at least looking at the investment into an operator, but they're going to think better about it to instead give themselves a rifle. Now, committing to the sheriffs, and they're not really kind of changing up their position. I think we still have a 3-2 split here, Sam. But this basically gives Minotaur not a free one, but a much more lax position to go and grab that match point.
It's insane what Minotaur is able to get away with the way that they've set themselves up here, right? The 3-2 or the 2-3 split pushes that they do going on to either side. And especially for Lobos, walking away with 2 kills on A, where we had the Mondo tour de force. That could have easily shifted things in favor of Northern Virginia, but Lobo just was able to take the fight. Now Oreo, what is this wraparound? They're going in through Sands, maybe to be able to catch out a lurker right here. Tokyo Sushi looking at the wall, not able to get the kill there. Now Lobos finding another one of their own. Oreo chased down by Retro, but now we're looking at a 3v3. Trying to get the gun upgrades, but maybe what is... Wait a minute, Kyle. Missed the shot. Oh, that's disastrous.
That's unfortunate. It gives away your position. And that's the one thing you gotta be able to snapshot. Either you don't take that shot and they walk on by, or you get a free kill and then you walk with them. Otherwise, it's a 3v3, but they've not been able to upgrade many weapons because everything else has been left on the outskirts. The one person that did was Oreo, but they're gone and off the map. So for right now, Nash is gonna hang out from distance. They have that orbital strike to secure it, and they're gonna be able to get rid of Kyle, and that makes this thing even more difficult for Nova to walk back through with. Sky Smoke will dissipate. They're gonna try and at least get away from a few sight lines, but Retro will cover down onto Maddie and Mondo. The M&M will fall short of the table, and we're now on map 1 point for Minotaur.
Minotaur had a glow up going into the second half. Their attacking half, Monkey Man, we really can't understate the massive success that they've had here. It was a 4-8 half in that first bit for Nova, right? Going into the favor of them. But look at that round differential going into this one. Only 1 round dropped by Minotaur. An insane run through here on map 1, Bind. Now, Mondo peeking their head out! It was a battle of the operators, but Mondo is going to come out the victor against Lobos. Retreating over towards A site. Now we have Kino using the showstopper. Doesn't really see any opportunities to be able to use it. Now back over towards their A site. Regrouping with the rest of the team. Nova in a really good position, though, with that first pick on the Lobos.
That duel, that was scary. That's jump scare situations. And now look how deeply they've actually been able to push Minotaur in 2 different directions. But you can have a double swing moving against Kino if they're not ready for it. But they're looking for that down and distance off of the spray. You're going to get the trade. They're still a man down right now. Maddie will back up. At least the top box, and the Prowler's going to try and get him first. Off another, and it's good for 2. Maddie has secured this one for now Minotaur, only having 1 left. And Nash, well, it's a rough go, because if they're going to commit up into A, they're only facing against 2, but they still have to face against numbers.
That they do. Maddie, though, we got to get them props for that. Found out by the Prowler, needed to take that down, but was able to adjust their aim good enough to be able to take not 1, but 2 on and be the victor on the other side of that. The second the smoke goes away for Nash, their life goes away along with it. Oreo finding the final kill here and giving Nova the opportunity to continue the fight.
Very nervy moments between both these teams, and Minotaur, they get 2 more chances. They get this one and the next, if Nova were to push them. Otherwise, OT could be on the way here for game number 1. It was such a dominant affair in the first half, but letting those last couple of rounds sneak through, Nova actually let the door wide open for Minotaur to grab a whole clutch of confidence, which has really been personified by Retro and Sushi. Mondo is going to switch it up, change positions. They know the operator's there, and they're going to stick in the face of this Prowler, and I like the idea. just going with the blind, playing with it, but they see Retro jumping over the box and they can't land the shot as the blades will hit their mark.
The blades are hitting their mark and then some. 2 kills blowing in. It's no longer just a gust here, Monkey Man, but a freaking hurricane ripping right through it. Now Lobos in that back line. It's going to fall to Oreo, but Minotaur in a much, much better position this time around. A 4v2 with the spike being planted. You have the lurk, but Sushi has the judge, and judgment has been passed. Nash Fort to slow things down with the molly. Extreme Kyle doesn't realize that they're hiding out right there. Could be. Wait a minute. No, that's just BM. That's just BM. That's just BM right there. And Tokyo Sushi, the blade that honed right into the dome of Extreme Kyle, closes out the round for Minotaur, closes out the map. 13-10 of Bind.
Wild times here on game number 1, and you like to see the depth, not just of the play style and of the skill set that we get from Minotaur, but the gut check, being down 8-4 and then making a hell of a run into that second half. Sam, they came out and they just told Nova, hey, you need to maybe re-up some of this tuition for this education because you need some extra remedial courses in how to be able to play this game. What a comeback, and that's just the first of our best of 3.
I know, right? This is what makes best of 3 so exciting, is seeing how well they're going to be able to adapt and overcome when it comes to the next map that we're going to be into, which of course is Lotus. But an undeniable performance here from Minotaur, down 8-4 in that first half. But once again, a lesson that just because the half isn't going your way, that you cannot give up just yet. But we are going to go to a short break here before we go into map 2 of Lotus. Big thank you to all of you who are watching right now. The Ascent to Glory Kickoff, powered by U.S. Army, Army ROTC, and Esports U. We'll be right back.
What do you expect from that first job out of college? Working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it. And make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
Well, after an intense map one, I think that the Ascent to Glory kickoff, powered by the U.S. Army ROTC, and Esports U, is going off onto a banger, Monkey Man. What a crazy way to start off this series.
Honestly, like this the same level of showcase that you want to see at every level, be it already in college, be it on your way to college. I mean, Minotaur, what a comeback. And of course, when you think about the level of education that you got to be able to have and what this event is all about, why not consider, hey, the U.S. Army and Army ROTC, you have the ability to go beyond your field of study and get a world-class education in leadership. As an Army officer, you'll be able to learn to be a decision maker and a mentor, maybe even a minotaur, in any environment at any scale. It's a challenging path, but the choice is simple, and you can decide to lead, to learn more about the Army ROTC, and the scholarship opportunities available. I see you out there, coaches. Visit goarmy.com/ROTC. And there's a lot of players. I mean, just like what we saw with Retro out there, with Sushi, that can showcase that they have that depth for a player and a student be able to just corral and get the troops back in order, just like we saw with Minotaur.
Exactly. Valorant really is a game where if you have a good IGL can make or break a team. There's someone to be able to rally the troops, someone to be able to get everyone's mindset back into the right place. And that's exactly what we have from these teams, especially what we have from Minotaur. It takes nothing short of one, a good IGL, but two, teamwork to be able to recover from an 8-4 half. An 8-4 half, and then come back and do a sweep into a 13-10, giving them that first map of bind. But now we look towards into the future with Lotus. That's going to be our second map here. Minotaur obviously on that series point in this best of 3 powered by XP League. So a really good opportunity for them here. Nova on the back foot a little bit, but we can't really say, Monkey Man, that they did bad necessarily on bind.
No, it was the dynamic shift of really seeing what the double duelist kind of power diff looks like on attack when you not only have a very confident Raze, but also Sushi just simply going into the gun game. We've been talking about patches, and I'm going to be talking about patches, I think, until patches stop being patches. There's a patch next week, in case you didn't know, because apparently Gecko's too strong. That's a whole thing. But seeing how they kind of got pushed back, they had an initial first draw when they were able to really lead Minotaur by the nose. They had a string. They were able to kind of really confuse them. And Oreo went fairly quiet. They were still the top of their team, but just weren't able to keep it up because when the attack is now dictated against you, you have to be able to make those reads. We got a Lotus, and that really could be a tail of the tape for Nova because this map, I know the mini map will showcase if you're using a door, but there's a lot of audibles that can be called.
There is indeed. And if you take a very close look at the agent select, we have had a substitution. Kino, the Rays from the last map, is out, being replaced by Nova's coach, Cappy. So, still interesting to see what the adaptation is going to be here. We have Oreo on the Rays now, and Rays, in my opinion, for Lotus is the absolute must-pick duelist that you go with. The execution onto C site, onto A site, being able to use your paint shells to delay an A site push and give you the opportunity to go up and take the fight at lane. It is so valuable what this duelist brings to the table. Interestingly enough, though, Minotaur again with a double duelist. This time, though, with the Phoenix. And we've been actually seeing a lot of Phoenix lately here, Monkey Man, in professional play and just in play in general.
Yeah, I mean, he has great infiltration capability. You'll be able to get that curveball flash from distance, but also you have, when you're finally at sight, so many tough kind of pushes, especially right angles. You go into deep side C, you can be able to swing it immediately and win those duels. And then the run it back, I mean, you have a lot of extra protection off of this duelist in particular. This is going to be a lot of different agents. I think we nearly have a full spread of everyone being different, save for Oreo and Sushi across from each other, which that's also going to be a role difference for Oreo off of the initiator. So I don't exactly know what's going to happen to this. Usually you see a double controller, something of a Viper and an Omen. The Astra is going to be an interesting one, I think, even more so.
Especially when we talk about the Astra nerfs that happened. A little bit of nerf, a little bit buffs here. She didn't get hit quite as hard. The biggest thing, obviously, is her gravity well. That gravity well takes away, it doesn't have doesn't activate as quickly, so you're able to get out of it just a smidge faster, and so it's not as impactful as it once was. But to make up for it, her vulnerability is able to activate quicker, so it hits hard, hits faster, allows you more opportunities to attack. But the biggest change I think for Astra is going to be the Astral Divide, with the instead of deafening on the other side, completely cuts noise, so you don't know, can't hear what's going on the other side of that wall. So Astra is an interesting choice. Not the worst one though when it comes to Lotus, in my opinion. Being able to stall out spike plants, whether or not they're happening on C or on A, is going to be really massive. It is something that I really like about Astra when it comes to these maps, but I think Omen is going to edge out just a little bit more in the utility that he brings to the table.
Just more dynamic smoke play, really, when you
Yeah.
put those dark covers and be able to have one kind of reload in the chamber as you're walking around. And so many of these different sites, honestly, can be controlled with one large smoke. So I agree with that when it comes to Omen. Astra's Cosmic Divide, I kind of thought it was a nice feature that there was maybe some muffled movement, because I would always press myself so close up to the wall. I'm like, oh, I think they're planning. Wait, I think... Oh, they reloaded, and we try and press in. But now that you're in a complete other dimension beyond that veil of stars, it's going to be a, well, we're dry peeking this, boys, and you go in maybe with a guiding light and you pray. So maybe a curveball otherwise. So either way, it's the Wells late activation. I think we saw that become pseudo necessary, at least Riot decided it was necessary, because of a lot of long B plant sites for Pearl. And they're like, oh, that's getting them away a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, also just rip Pearl in general in competitive.
Yeah,
play.
rip
We
Pearl.
still had the opportunity to play Pearl here in this best of three, but the teams didn't choose it, decided that Pearl is stinky, that we don't want to go underwater anymore.
Smelly.
And who can blame them when Lotus is the beautiful map like this? Another big discussion topic, though, with Nova, they go double initiator as compared to Minotaur, who is very comfortable in that double duelist setup that they have, which, to be fair, we were giving it a lot of brouhaha in the last map, but they really showed why it's powerful when they started attacking. We're going to see this East Lake play from Northern Virginia. Whether or not it's going to work out for them, they did last map. Can they do it again here? Lewis.
You see that combination? They put both the grasp as well as the paint shells out, and then Shasha was able to dodge away from the would-be haunt. So a little bit of a shock dart just to remind them who they're dealing with, and they're going to repel them back. No one dry peeking from Nova, going straight at the dark cover, but it's going to be Kyle that actually wins the initial trade, and Duel get that first blood, and wasting a few of those headhunter shots, and now Cappy, the cap and the good old coach, comes through to lay down Lobos, but then immediately hits the bench.
Oh, Nash getting their little feces torn up by the KJ Molly. Try to get a little bit of health back for this Phoenix. Right in through the smokes, but Shasha couldn't get the headshot onto Oreo, returning the favor right back into their face. And that's Nova with a round one pistol win.
I feel that moment of spamming your ghost shots into the core of someone's armor, and they whip round and right click you with a classic instant death. That hurts me on multiple spiritual levels. I hate that. I just sitting in the corner with them, I hurt in my knees, not just because I'm 34, but also because that one just took me away. But we'll go.
Singular tear rolls down Monkey Man's face.
Minotaur, I mean, they were making some good reads, but it's the dynamicness of this map that allowed Nova to really pivot away from C to B that quick.
Yeah, and really opening the door. Lobos just wasn't ready for it. Cappy blowed them right away. Shasha had a really good opportunity, but Oreo is not going to let that go uncleared. Not going to let Shasha walk away with a kill. No, nothing to be found there. Lobos, it's just a grave. That's what it is. This doorway, if I were Lobos, I would never go onto B side ever again.
I would also never down check aggressively into B mid ever. I would just continue to walk away.
No
Both
way!
duelists are just getting fiended back here as Oreo will grab a third. And now Nash, recognizing that this flawless round is nearly complete. They have no idea where to find them. They're not hanging out AFK, but it's going to be Kyle that will ultimately finish them off. So Nova looking as strong in the start of this round as they did, or in the start of this half, as they did in the previous map.
An unbelievable performance from Minotaur, though, especially Oreo. My jaw is still on the floor because if we look at the replay happening here, how does Oreo get away with their life? Pulls out the ghost. Tokyo Sushi, you're not going anywhere. They hunt you down. They're relentless. The Oreo assault is delicious. And now I want Oreo.
Got an extra bit of zest. Yeah. Hey, shout out to anyone that likes my my white chocolate covered Oreos, the double stuffed ones. Those are coming out in holidays real soon. Those are my favorite, and they drive my sweet tooth crazy. Cavities galore, but they're delicious. Nova on this attack, trying to see if they can break through, get a bonus. They had a flawless. Everything's retained. Lobos has not learned their lesson. They're gonna come straight up into mid. You madman. Oh, but able to at least find the first one, but they will be traded out immediately.
Couldn't quite get the second or third one there. The numbers in the advantage of Minotaur. Sorry, Nova, rather. But instead of wanting to push in onto B, decided to take the exit strategy here. Rotate over towards C. Use the dog to be able to gather some information. Try to figure out exactly what's going on here. But with 2 on C site, it's going to make life very difficult for Minotaur in this attack. Or defense, apologies.
Swing on in. Guiding Light pops out, and we've got the numbers game, 4v2, but they've got the fortress, they've got the high ground, but is that enough to be able to render them senseless? You have a couple of nebulas, and they're going to escape actually behind Play for Life. Sushi will get the spray, and then followed up by their duelist compatriot. Oh, but they light up the KD feed swiftly. And Minotaurs, well, they crashed on sight. An uppercut they did against Nova.
All right, Nash. Walking right through the smoke, sees 2, gets 2. And a big smile on their face to go along with it. Minotaur stopping that bonus round of Nova. A little bit of flashbacks towards the last map, though, right, Monkey Man? What happened there? Minotaur, unfortunately, had a long string of losses that Nova was able to capitalize on. It still could be a repeat of history here. Nova has been playing pretty spectacularly so far, and it seems like the Kino replacement for Cappy hasn't really impacted them so much so far. We're going to see a full C push from Nova, pick up the ult orb. Oreo is 1 away from getting that showstopper ultimate. They can find the pick here. They might be able to get a lot of success in entering with that showstopper. Oh, there it is. A Pain Shells is taking down Nash. They go right in. They get stopped by their teammate, though. And the showstopper might not get quite the impactful effect they were looking to get.
Getting body blocked, but Lobo continues to try and get cheeky and sneaky. The door will open, and a couple of swift taps. Sushi will just be the better of the aimer game. Oreo rendering retro to nothing but pixels on the other end of the scoreboard. And with util in hand, another big trade happening just outside of Waterfall. So Sushi has to be even more impactful than they were just a moment ago as everyone is hanging out from backside. This is a wonderful position because of the plant that's happening on that front side corner. They're going to get more of a precision weapon away from that Phantom that's more of a kind of a medium distance spray. Put that Swarm Grenade out. Not a lot of time to be able to go and get not just kills, but also a defuse, and Sushi recognizes this. They're gonna walk away with a cooler skin on their Vandal, and saving out Nova gets the job done in the first 3.
Yeah, it would have been disastrous if Tokyo Sushi pushed into that backside. It was a crossfire situation that they wouldn't have been able to survive from. Maybe get 1 pick, but you lose out on the Vandal, and then really everything starts falling apart from there. And especially when you look at the economy, Minotaur needs every single advantage that they can get in this. Tokyo Sushi could buy for someone, but it looks like for the moment, rather just save the money and continue to build up towards the next few rounds. Nova, however, having the time of their lives. Really the only one suffering is Maddie at 150 credits.
Yeah, that's going to be a pit of suffering. Maybe they kind of shift a little bit around half shields and marshals, which we've seen get headshots, so maybe some impact picks and be able to get some upgrades if Nova wants to be a bit loose-fingered with their weaponry. Shasha is in a very, I would say, interesting position, kind of deep into this door. Not many will be looking for that swing just around box, but they could immediately have their entire cover blown if door were to swing, but that's usually just an option if they get a bit choosy. Have you been surprised that we haven't hit A as of yet? It's been a lot of C and B lean.
Yeah, they don't want to, I guess, take the chance in those long sightline engagements, maybe be hit by the paint shells. Like, Nash just got hit by a couple of Vandal bullets, still get to survive with their life, but really at that point, how much more can you expect? Extreme Kyle winning out in the duel at B, finding the first pick onto Shaw. But once again, we see the patience from Northern Virginia. They don't put the pedal to the metal until they absolutely are sure where they want to go. Might be a rotation over towards B. The rotating doors have opened, and now the attack potentially beginning. And now it's definitely going to be beginning. Cappy getting an execute onto Lobos.
Absolute util dump. You see not just the blast pack, the swarm grenade, but also the nebula. Anyone that wants to try and take over that elbow is just not going to be able to get it. And then Cappy getting first kill as they round out and seeing Secret turned into nothing but easy answers. In fact, Retro will get a hip shot and Kyle will eventually drop, but now they're cornering everyone. Cappy is infiltrated back site. This is going to come down to timing. And well, time is just not on your side, Retro, as both the duelists fall at the very end. Nova, this is starting to feel like deja vu right now.
Yeah, I'm getting a weird sense, but instead of sands, it's a beautiful, lush forest. Very strange. Marshall kills. A good streak coming out here from Northern Virginia against Minotaur on their attack. Right, but we can't really discount Minotaur until they get the opportunity to attack and really make their double duelist lineup start singing. Again, though, Northern Virginia, they just don't like that A-site push. They instead want to see where they can get picks on C or B. And Extreme Kyle has been doing a fantastic job of finding that out there. Nash wanted to take a quick peek, maybe find a lucky shot with the Marshall, but instead, again, taking damage for their efforts.
They actually have a play. They have a set play here if they want to invest into it of using the lockdown against that wall. However, they've actually...
What? They're... Bucky, man, they're literally right next to each other.
Okay. Well, eventually they fell. Someone had to be able to get down on that one. Oreo is pressing the issue that they only have one death. They are daring someone to murder them and then pressing down onto Nash on this save round, looking for a thrifty, but Minotaur just not having good enough investments to really push Nova in a bad situation. The Bucky will find its mark twice. Lobos eventually falls. Cappy does the same. And Retro, they're headhunting at this moment. They're going to be able to upgrade.
I never thought I'd see the day where you're running it down with a Bucky and getting a double kill on top of that. Now we have Retro using his run it back, but not able to find too much success with the ultimate. Now maybe a flashbang to catch someone out. The nano swarm grenade eliminated, but not the second one. Still gonna find purchase onto the ground. I would say if you're Retro, this might be the moment where you want to call it and play towards safety. They're still gonna try and find it out. Cappy on the other side, but once they make that swing, Retro is gonna fall. And that's Nova. 5 rounds on the board to Minotaur's 1.
Nova is so measured on their post-plant setups. We got to see it when they planted for deep backside. They had that 3-man swing when that planted right in mid-C. And then opposite of that, recognizing that they couldn't take over back end because of Oreo falling, then they set up for waterfall and for turn. That's an amazing just kind of heads up. And I think that's also why we see Kino in this trade out to bring in the coach. I believe he probably looked at his team kind of failing and falling last time and was like, I just need to be able to keep them more even keel because they seem to just get in their own head whenever Minotaur was gaining ground.
And finally, we get the first A-site push from Nova. Lobos set themselves up, but the Astra Smoke is going to deny them any vision. A Nightfall to go onto site. Tokyo Sushi still going to try and fight it out. Caught inside of the Prowler, but gets a double kill. That might be good enough for Minotaur to rip the door open. They may have fallen by the hands of Oreo, but Nashfort and this Odin, the god of guns, not going to let anyone walk through. Lobos bringing out the tour de force, but not good enough to fight Cappy. Now it's a 1v3. Extreme Kyle all by themselves. Know that Shaw is coming up through the flank. It's going to be so much more difficult for them, especially when Retro is landing headshots just like that. Minotaur finding their second round 1.
What a ballsy play, knowing that you're about to go blind and just stepping up to the plate through util. That is actually that's the rank util challenge diff right there. As soon as most people get blinded out or they encounter something that's going to pulse and have some of that AoE damage, they run away from it, they back from it, they surrender space. That's not what happened this time. It was Sushi taking up the showstopper, whipping out a double kill, and then a lot of that fight in tree just died on first contact. Minotaur finally stops the bleeding, and again, some of this feels like a weird moment of repeat because it's turning out the same from that first half of the previous game.
It really is, and now Lobos, still the defender of B, wants to push themselves up a little further. Cappy does have the dog to go forth. It's going to be taken out by Lobos, but the swing was happening there. They did get the TP off just in time. Now you have given up the information towards Northern Virginia that a judge is hiding out there. Could potentially be disastrous if they want to go and try to fight it out. Cappy's still wanting to poke a little bit, but not wanting to press their luck too much. That is still 2 ultimates for the side of Northern Virginia to use. I wouldn't mind seeing a Cosmic Divide or the Lockdown that's just been expended. Oh my word! Cappy's gonna fight it out here. Lobos are gonna try and make the swing, but the Spectre wins out against the judge.
And that's byproduct of the lockdown investment. You're actually gonna have Sushi now have to get defended. It's a bit of a bait, but they made for the escape and they'll be well defended from that curve point moving on that link to B. But otherwise, this is full control by Nova in this 5v4. You did see Lobos trying to get cheeky off of a judge play. Shock Dart's going to get pushed on to turn. You have a couple that are blinded, but then off of the blind spray, Kyle's able to get a couple before they are ultimately traded, and this turns into Retro v all the rest. Seekers, nah, you're going to have, well, a chance at hot hands, but the hot hand right now are, in fact, the Nova as they strike back.
It could have gone really well. That was a beautiful paranoia from Nash. It was just... they weren't able to land the shots, and Oreo continuing the spray through was able to help them survive. Another of the first time out of this Lotus map is going to be happening. Minotaur needing to stem the bleeding here, right? They may be on the back foot. It's a 6-2. They haven't begun their attack yet, but they don't want to give up too many rounds more than they need to. Idealistically, if they can figure out the economy that has been working against them and maybe be able to replicate some of the success they had, and the second round they won would be so much better. But when Northern Virginia decides to execute on the site, Monkey Man, they're so aggressive in how they go onto there, and they overwhelm Minotaur, and the retake from Minotaur just has not been there on Lotus.
No, it's not. And I mean, we're looking at the coaches, and a lot of credit that I like to give to them, but it's also the players that have to be able to kind of execute behind some of those extra plays. You have Hervmaster that's trying to keep all of Minotaur corralled, and I want to just kind of blindly give Pursuit of good justice to them for how the previous map did turn. They're going to need a lot of love from some of that extra coaching perspective to help them out right now, because Nova seems to be on a warpath. Oreo 11-3 right now. They were the top of the rock in the stack last time around, but this time they're followed up by their coach. Mondo not really needing to do too much. They again had kind of that role dynamic shift because they came away from Chamber and went over to this fade, and Lobos, they're gonna be able to grab one before getting out and getting on with the rest of their life.
This is what I wanted to see a little bit from Minotaur, though. That aggressiveness, Lobos putting it out there and walking away with a pick. Beautifully executed and well done. Northern Virginia, we're seeing them doing the same exact thing. The smokes go up, but they're not wanting to go through it too fast. Pick up ult orbs and rotate around the site, maybe to be able to find a pick from there. Lobos is still going to hold out on the high ground, but the smoke stalls things out so massively. This aggressiveness could pay off on your TP. Lobo, put your TP down, please.
Yeah, this is about to be the driest peak I've ever seen. You're going to need some clear eyes to really help them see further. The Lobos is chilling out. They actually want to wait before they pick it up again because they're waiting on this next read. The door will close, and Oreo's stuck around. That's a fantastic counter pick because that leaves them just enough time if they want to rotate back to B, but most of the players have been centralized. Look at this last-ditch effort. They're shifting to A. So much of this pivot from C and B and just playing behind them. But this is free site, real estate, set up shop, and your house. The foundation is laid. No one saw this read coming, and they'll be able to get this plan down.
Northern Virginia, their never touching A side has actually worked out for them massively. Minotaur just was not expecting this. It could have been beautiful from Tokyo. Sushi had to get the kill on Kyle just quick enough, but Oreo sets themselves up. A showstopper goes out, maybe another through CT, but no, it's not going to be happening. The door is open. Maddie was ready for it. Retro's not going to go through it quite just yet. The showstopper goes out, but the show still going on. A 2v2. Retro opens the doors once more. Maddie not caught inside of the paranoia. Retro walks through, but Maddie is ready for it. Now the 1v1, the smoke v smoke. Maddie with a Vandal in hand, 9 bullets. Nash waiting for the opportunity. Not going to get caught inside of that gravity well just yet. But Maddie needs to make the swing. Nash needs to make the defuse happen. They're going to spray through the box. And they spray the prey, and the prayers were answered. Maddie finds the headshot, the round 1.
Maddie knowing the combo play coming through off paranoia from Nash to allow a much more free entry for Retro. That was great heads up on mechanics, because when that door swung, you take that widest part from them for Retro to enter through tree, thinking that they at least have a blind spot when it comes to the paranoia taking over Olive Garden, but Maddie squeezed, just push, compress their body as hard as they could against that wall, and now the eco is dry for Minotaur heading into this 10th. Nova would love to get much more than 8 if they could, realizing there's not a safety spot for them to be at, even with 8, but they will be testing A here, but not all the way through. They must even get some early picks here in secret, but they know that Minotaur is in a rough buy position.
Yeah. Northern Virginia is going to abuse that fact and not go too fast. This is what I love about Northern Virginia, right? We've talked about it. We've echoed it many times, but it bears repeating here again. The smokes go down. They slow down. They don't want to go out of it too fast if they don't need to. And they know that Shasha is hiding out in connector. If they want to go through and try to take that fight, they absolutely can. And now with that early pick onto Sushi, a second one to be found for Lobo, Shasha is just going to run in with a shorty. But the run has been cut short, just like their life has been. Minotaur, a 2v5. Nash has the shorty as well, but what are you going to do? Monkey Man, it's a 1v5. Big util is being dumped. They have no other opportunities really here. They had the paranoia. They have the bulldog, but 5v1? Yeah.
See, at that point, slash all chat knife fight mid? That's what I'm asking. At least I'm hoping for, because I don't know. I think at least 3 of our 10 players out there had a shorty. Everyone was hoping for some close quarters combat, but it ended up being Nova that was really there swinging with haymakers. They obtained their 8th, and they're aiming for more, trying to see if they can escape what was an 8-4 iteration of their previous half, and they don't want to give up the final 2 rounds that really were the spark of an amazing life for Minotaur when we saw Bind. Ascent may be an inevitability on map number 3 for this best of, but at this point, Nova really is dictating level of pace, and they've been playing very measured.
That they have Tokyo Sushi is going to push far up here onto C, using their Omen as a little bit of bait. Now found out Sushi's not going to risk that any more than they need to, pushing over onto Mound. The Prowler is going to find them out, but the smoke will protect them. Now the revolving door is open. Sushi's not going to win out the duel with Oreo. The Raze, more Superior Raze has come forward. Nash finds one, but Oreo is going to trade it right out almost immediately. E7 Retro's run it back is going to put forth just a little bit of information, but now we're seeing a similar situation of a 2v4. Clean execute once again from Northern Virginia, and that's going to be full C site.
You're going to be left at the back end of what could be a better defense. They've not been able to really make these reads, and door plays have been such great audible options for Nova to rotate around, and that's something that's will have a chance to be employed by Minotaur, because they did at least grab 2 rounds. A third, well, it's gonna be even more difficult because of Retro on the outside looking in, nothing but stars to stare at, with 4 players and guns possibly pointing directly at him. It's gonna be an uphill battle. They may just play for this gun to stick with them. I don't know what the eco kind of looks like because of being on the opposite end, but 4 for Oreo. That's a quad stack. That's a lot of cream. That's Nova. That's on the precipice of finding double digits in the first half. And look at that eco. They may very well find it.
A distinct possibility, Monkey Man. The eco for Minotaur, that was the round that they were looking to win. They needed to win. Otherwise, we'd be looking at a situation that's happening on our screens. They can't make any full buys whatsoever. Just having to make piecemeals here and there. Guardian Light Shields, Vandal Light Shields, Ares. Minotaur just cannot find their foothold on Lotus, and Northern Virginia has been pushing so hard on the pulse of Minotaur and taking away any sustainability that they've been having so far. Nash alone on C site, that's a very scary proposition for them. They might have the Ares in hand, but the Killjoy lockdown, the dog, pushed them back. And now we're going to see this fake out rotate from the fake out push using the lockdown to sort of fool Minotaur as they go over towards A.
I don't think they're too full though, because Lobos went aggressive up into long A past tree, and they were killed as Maddie was just kind of hanging out there from that turn. So the decoy play doesn't fully pay off, but they do at least drag a lot of eyes, and you have that quick push by Oreo as they're going to clear out this drop, and now they're going to be looking up to get rid of Retro, who they were right behind, but the Cosmic Divide is tough to navigate now that it's all mute. You have a 3-player team in Minotaur, and they're going to have to crash through the stars.
They're going to jump down. Oreo still perfect as ever. Nash not able to get the kill. They wanted to double swing it, but Oreo has the advantage. Wanted to use the shorty, but Shasha's Guardian is going to protect them just good enough to take that fight there. But the 1v4 proves to be too much for the Guardian. And now we're looking at a 10-2 first half here. Big time in favor of Nova. Much better than what we saw out of Ascent. And who knows? Monkey Man, I mean, thinking about it, right? Northern Virginia was able to take 3 rounds in that second half of Bind. That may have been good enough if they had that 10-2 half to have won them the game. It would have been enough mathematically speaking. So as long as they can repeat that success here, Lotus should be theirs.
Should. Actually, they only grabbed 2 because they had the 8-4 and they got to 10. So it was even less. So they need to improve by one single step better on this second half. And it will be another defensive test. 20-5 though. Oreo seems to be in their element when it comes to arrays, skipping to their own tune and rhythm here on Lotus. And the immediate util dump, that's the wombo combo of death right there. You get the grasp, you get the paint shells, and you get dead. But they step back, recognizing, wait, listen, see. Minotaur have a test in front of them, and it's going to be a long one if they're able to recover. But I like the paint shells just kind of spreading out that extra damage. But actually, wait, was that Sushi?
That was Sushi's paint shell.
Never mind, that's bad.
You can even see Lobos was like, bro, what's going on here? Maddie went through the revolving doors. Oh, they fall, but they got a double kill outside of that. Minotaur, a disastrous first round here on the pistol so far. Still able to get the spike planted, but once Nova begins their approach outside of the stairway, Tokyo Sushi just couldn't respond in kind. Mondo firmly rooting their feet into the ground. The Ghost going, boo, gonna get the double headshot, and Nova, their 11th round.
You gotta think Minotaur is gonna be forcing into this one. It's just gonna be Spectres and Light Shields, I think, brought up to him because of 211. You tripped over your own shoelaces at the starting line. It was a very heads-up smart play of pause, and then everything became a bit lackadaisical. So we go over to round number 14. Nova, they were very well and methodically prepared for Lotus coming in. The dynamicness of this map and be able to lift and shift and move, Minotaur's not even going to be given much of a chance of that. They will be saving, or at least keeping for their pistols as they go over into this next, simply so they can be able to at least see an AR in their knuckles. But otherwise, Nova's very just ready and willing to receive.
That they are. This is an interesting approach from Minotaur, the 3-2 split using classics. It can be a dangerous approach, but if they can find success with it, especially if Lobos is clicking heads just like that. Right onto B, this is going to give them the sight, but they're not going to plant in the typical spot, looking more towards down into the dip of the site. Shasha, it was right there for them. Somehow Minotaur is coming out the victor on this anti-eco round that they were looking for. And really, it's just a 1v3. Mondo in a rough situation with just the Guardian.
Mondo's either going to get loud, proud, and move straight through mid and break some bricks, or they're going to take a long marathon. Saving round 2, ? All chat. Otherwise, Mondo's just going to be hanging out from distance. Keep that Guardian, recognizing that they're going to have some kind of bullet pin weapon to hang out with, as Minotaur Well, Golly Willikers, they took this. They were able to just win on the close quarters combat battle, and it was Lobos that really was the tip of the spear that gave them that chance.
Yeah, give it all to Lobos. The first pick, that headhunter really living up to its name, and Lobos feeling very good about what they were able to accomplish for their team. The anti-eco round going in favor of Minotaur. Nova, the buys aren't going to be as big as they want it to, and now Minotaur has an opportunity in this bonus round to turn things back for themselves. Still though, an 11-3 deficit. The long road begins, but it could potentially begin here.
You know, rebellions are built on hope, and it's going to be Minotaur that has to rebel against the expectations that we've set at this point. Oh,
Sushi,
unfortunate. Sushi. Get those out of their hands. Replace the paint shells with kunai, please and thank you. They're able to get at least rid of the swarm grenade as it was starting to pop up. C-site control is established as Nova is playing much more for life, and they're shooting just blindly through. Cappy's able to get a headshot onto Nash as they round the corner, and Retro will lay everyone to waste.
That was a cavalcade of chaos that was happening there. Now the fight inside of Waterfall, but the water has poured onto them. Tokyo Sushi and this Marshall getting exactly what they were looking for, and Minotaur another round done, showing that yes indeed, attack is so much better for them.
Retro, this soft hot hands, they put them in a bad position, and then I don't know what Mondo was doing. They're just kind of looking at the ground, expecting a flash, maybe?
They were showing that ground who's boss, Monkey Man. That's
yeah,
what they were doing. Okay.
Power squat that tile right there. You show them what's for. That's what the tuition does. Nova, they will have weapons this time around. They're going to put the combo out there, and Oreo's going to have to step back because the Isle Drone will tag them out. So, initial play is one that really is committed to by the Minotaurs.
And the Minotaurs, whenever, it's kind of the same way, right? They go into this and they're very decisive when they're ready to make the action happen. Funnily enough, Campy is going to find the first pick, but running away from that, it's still going to be onside Oreo by themselves, waiting to get that reinforcement. Slowed down through tree, the Astra Smoke is going to give Oreo that time to get the reinforcements in, but Cappy could potentially save things here as well. Paranoia goes in, and Retro is going to find the headshot onto Kyle. Still, the approach has been given onto the site. Oreo finds one, but Shasha wraps around and returns the headshot back into the favor. Cappy is going to get one from Shasha as well, pushing themselves back over, figures out exactly where Maddie is. The 2v1 spectacular, and trying to get this spike defused. But Shasha, the 4-piece, the 4K, giving Minotaur another round.
Is Minotaur about to do it again? I'm having those seeds of doubt, those inclinations of possibility. And we saw before, this is a much steeper proposition to actually have happen, but Nova, they very much are in this cycle of suck when it comes to their buy. Oreo's gonna be able to get that weapon, and they're gonna do it rail against the rest of the pockets that are seemingly almost empty from his squad, and so they decided to have that sheriff instead, really kind of equalize everything, and they have 2 rounds to gain. Minotaur, though, is just not letting them have a chance to collect themselves.
That's a mountain of KJ utility that they're going to need to walk through. The nanoswarm is going to be so deadly, but Tokyo Sushi, the Shadow Step, is going to put them on there and give them the C site. They go ahead and set it up for the plant right next to the pillars. Already, though, Nova's in a whole rough number situation. The 4v3 now. Oreo is able to find one on Tokyo Sushi, but the Vandals are proving to be very superior in firepower.
As you can single tap, 1 pop. Be able to get that with that sight line. Very tough to just keep up with the fire rate. Nash 4 does the same thing against Maddie. And now it's a 1v everyone. Save 1. Oh, Nash 4 does not stray away from the firefight, and they find a 3rd. Minotaur, they were built for that round, as Nova were on that save, and now here comes a big moment. We talk timeouts, we talk coaching, we talk macro games, Sam. Nova looked like that they were being told by Cappy, be it the coach, the IGL, or otherwise, we need to prepare to just simply win this fight so we can get to game number 3.
Yeah, Minotaur has been having an unbelievable attack half once again. Nova is 2 rounds away from victory, but Minotaur has somehow been denying it to them every single time. And when we think back to that anti-eco round, Minotaur winning that out against Nova, that would have put Nova onto match point. I do like this though from Northern Virginia, taking this time out early, and it's 6-11. There's still a lot of opportunities to be able to right the ship, right? There's still, the alarm bells are starting to sound, but there's not red alert just yet. And this time out is going to give them the opportunity to think things over, take a look at the economy, and figure out what exactly they need to do to win things out here. Minotaur has been doing really well, but that's just because it seems like the way that they attack, Nova just hasn't been able to stand up to it. And to go even further onto that, some of the players from Minotaur who were quiet on that first half, especially when we take a look at Gitchi Shasha, they got 4 kills in 1 round. That secured them the round. Looking to continue that streak going forward, Minotaur really starting to come alive. It just takes them to getting to on to attack.
It really does. And I mean, attack is, I wouldn't call it easier, but allows you to dictate what the game is going to be in terms of these plays. But otherwise, you do have the showstopper popping out for Sushi, who is going to find Maddie standing still, trying to face down a rocket and get a kill onto them, but they will still be standing strong. And Nova, well, they're going to answer in kind with Lobos, again, trying to be just a little bit too cheeky on those immediate power plays upwards. Pathfinder encased by Cappy as Oreo will be able to get rid of their doppelganger, a counter showstopper, and waiting for anyone to come out from tree, but the body was already dropped, so no extra value out of it. But the defenders are rocking and rolling through, and Oreo will find a second, and Nova now, very measured, very clean. That retake pushes them to match point.
The showstopper first kill onto Maddie could have dictated everything in favor of Minotaur, but Lobo's aggressiveness being punished by them going onto ropes, it was just so easy for Cappy to be able to capitalize on that. And then on top of that, Cappy getting out of there. You saw that they were firing through the smoke monkey, man, but there was just no hope for them to get that. And once Oreo was able to come online, we didn't see it in Stairway, but they found out Sushi, they got their showstopper online. And what does that do to Minotaur? They don't get the kills, but it makes them scared. And if it scares them into positions where they can better take fights for Nova, well, we see the fruition bringing them into match point.
Trying to turn this into a Scooby-Doo thriller. Maybe a mystery. But Nova just wants to be straight up about it whenever they get onto these retakes. Minotaur doing the exact same thing when it comes to their initial attack. Try for the initial tag. They're going to have the Pathfinder coming through as they know they're out in heaven. The guy in the light will get that flash, but it's a half flash. Great protection by Lobos, who turns away, but they still get taken down. Another spray, bit of damage. Retro is going to come in through Secret. Now the Hot Hands moves in. That means they're in a bad position, and the gun will be revealed through the Nebula. This is looking pretty good for Minotaur. 4v3 power play, but you do now have Shasha early investment as they try to go through that link.
Wasn't able to find any hits, but stalling things out almost as important. A quick shock dart, a little bit of damage onto Kyle. Now to use the Nightfall to push it forward. Tokyo Sushi couldn't quite hear what was happening. Now we have the 3v2. Another Molly is going to slow down the approach for Nova. It's so desperate for them to get into there, but Retro, emboldened by the flames of their own heat, walks away with 4 kills and still giving Minotaur the chance to stop Nova. But when looking at this, right, Monkey Man, Nova is on that match point still.
They are on that match point when they're at the maximum amount of defensive round wins that they had when we were on Bind. And you look at their eco as well, they are going to contend with that buy-up because they have this leniency. They're going to have at least 4 rifles out there with a Sheriff on Mondo. And otherwise, well, you do have the Tour de Force by Lobos. This has to gain value. You must be able to at least click someone in the core. Oh, but now that they've given away which rifle and which placement that Tour de Force is, everyone is going to navigate a little bit differently here for Nova.
Yep, it's them going to be playing it safe. You saw the smokes went up immediately, not taking any chances there. Give the revolving door open a little bit. Maddie realizing that, okay, Lobos is there. And if we look over towards Seaside, Nash is going to get one right between the eyes. Oreo aim is as crisp as ever as it has been so far. Lobo found out by the dog, getting hit with the concuss, but not in any danger of being caught out through the smokes. Minotaur, they're trying desperately to figure out where they want to go and how they want to do this. Maddie needs to be the bulwark defender for Nova. They're going to do just that. Retro was trying to clear out the tree, but Lobos just wasn't ready for Maddie.
Oh, this isn't a great position for Cappy. Trying to clear full side off of the running back, and they're going to do so all the way into stairs. Now, for this 3v4, they're going to have the rotation. You have one chilling all the way back. They did not clear drop, and I think they're going to be very conscientious of that. So they're going to just stay back on tree from this door position, and they're actually waiting for that secret turn, as you do have one all the way from down in rubble. Sushi's going to look for anyone coming out in mid, using some of those blast packs. Oreo's creating space. They're going to be able to get one as they rock on in, and now Nova's falling one domino after the next. Retro into a 1v2, but they find that fourth. That was a great post play and hold. They had every inch covered. They knew what they didn't clear, and they stayed away from it, and they waited for the walkway re-entry by Nova and then cleared them out.
That is 2 rounds in a row. Monkey Man, that Retro has gotten a 4K. That is 8 kills total. Retro has come alive in a big way to be able to save the day for Minotaur. The numbers advantage was for Northern Virginia, but they couldn't quite get onto site the way that they wanted to. And the flank from Tokyo Sushi not getting found out, I was a little bit worried about the timing that was going to be happening there, especially when they got caught out by the KJ, but it was nothing short of beautiful. And especially now that we get our first pick, Cappy playing aggressive with that Sheriff is not going to find any purchase with that. Oreo's gonna find purchase with that though, Retro.
Yeah, that's one of those where you quickly blast back, or actually I think they may have just walked their way up, because we've seen Minotaur be very conscious of the util dump and maybe just waiting for off timing, so they stay all the way back. So Oreo was playing around the conditioning that Nova has done to them. So they walk all the way around, they take over C. This one is fully covered, especially with the dark covers that are in fact down. So Nash trading places in that corner and tell him, get out of the way. Let me put this bomb down.
Let me put this bomb down. I want to plant the spike. I want to get things going here, okay? Thank you. Minotaur, though, the numbers are in their favor. The guns are in their favor. Kyle's hanging out here in Waterfall with a Sheriff.
There.
But though tides might be just a little bit too much for them to swim through. Whoa, Mondo, that's not... That okay. I'm talking about tides right now, but Minotaur had the numbers advantage, but not anymore. These Sheriffs, they are very scary. They are very deadly, and so are they in the hands of Minotaur. Swinging in through the other side, Kyle picked up the Vandal. Tokyo Sushi, the last one alive now for the 1v1, throws out the pain shells. Kyle is gonna come out from up there, pulls out the Sheriff, but doesn't have the time. Monkey Man, the clutch from Tokyo Sushi to save the day here. It's still a crazy performance from Northern Virginia, but the way that the numbers are looking right now, it's still not good enough.
Just a step short, trying to win those Wild West duels out in high noon, but they were undercover and the sun couldn't get them. So Minotaur surviving by the thinnest thread. Nova makes a Thrifty look nearly like the game winner to propel them to game number 3. But they've got to look at this one with some seriousness. They do have rifles in hand. I see maybe not full kits because of the half shields. Otherwise, if they were to surrender this one, a 10-11 turn could be right around the corner. They're trying to pause the momentum that Minotaurs have gained. Shasha will follow into Lobos, and Lobos just raw clears Oreo.
And they were flashed too. They still get the headshot off. Now found out Cappy. The sonar dart doing its job. Of course, once again hit with that nerf 3 down to 2. But still good enough. Lobos, they're waiting. They're trying to figure out if Cappy's going to be crazy enough to try and take this fight against them. But Minotaur, they're still feeling the pressure of Nova being on that match point. They're not going to make any missteps. They want to let Northern Virginia fight it out against them. Rather, Lobo sees the shots, but Maddie and Mondo both getting their kills. Maddie being the defender inside a tree, but Nash is going to try and equalize things out just themselves a little bit more. A really good TP into the backline using their ultimate. Now we have the 3v2. Can they do it? Tokyo Sushi's going to fall. Now it's a 1v3. Nash all on their shoulders. The lockdown is going to make things so much more difficult, Monkey Man.
Pressure play is on. Not just the mental, but everything else too. Mondo sneaks in behind. Nash is so focused on where the lockdown was, they didn't know eventually where everyone would be. It took a bit of extra time, but Nova, they come through just fine. 13-9. Minotaur's comeback this time gets snuffed out. And on the other side, well, we have game 3 right in front of us, Sam. Not without Minotaurs trying to force us into overtime here.
It was getting kind of scary if you were on the side of Nova, right? When you think about the fact that they went into the second half, 10-2. But Minotaur got 7 rounds, right? It was a round 1 win that was in favor of Northern Virginia, but then they just fumbled the bag, and it was just continuous pickups here from Minotaur, and really showing that this is a team that's built for attack. Their defense needs some tweaking. They just don't quite have it there yet, but if they can get that online, well, map 3 of Ascent could potentially be theirs. And what a performance from both of these teams so far, and what a way to show off these teams in this kickoff.
Honestly, this kickoff for the Ascent to glory, well, it couldn't end any other place than Ascent. So on the other side of this break, grab your snacks, grab your water, kick up your feet, and stick with us. Esports U will be right back with you as we'll be having the end of our best of 3 tonight. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
I wasn't born a leader.
It wasn't given to me.
I couldn't buy it.
How'd I get here?
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
Decide to lead as an Army officer. What do you expect from that first job out of college? Working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it and make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
Of course, with the Ascent to Glory kickoff, it has to go to a best of 3. It has to go all of the way. And of course, it needs to end on the namesake map of Ascent, Monkey Man. But what a couple of games we've seen so far. Minotaur really putting, like, headbutting their faces into their attacking rounds, but Nova proving and showing themselves out there that even after map 1, they can still bring it for map 2.
It's a testament to the Minotaur's resilience to be able to drop into these deficits and still fight back for such a long time. But I think it's also a speaking moment, I think in a coaching moment, not just for them, but a lot for that's coming over on the Nova side, because they do so well. They run with so much momentum. And of course they're running with attack, but having a bit of struggles to close it out, and so far they've only been able to acquire, well, the 3 that they needed in that second match to be able to get it done. So the biggest thing, as we do roll into our map number 3 of Ascent, we're going to be switching starting sides. Do you think that's going to be a big measure, or like really a big expectation of, can we have good defense to start the match?
So, right, when we think about how these sides have been going, Minotaur has been on defense every single time. What are we looking at here from this team right now, Monkey Man? We're looking at decisiveness. This attack side for them needs to be no less than an execution sentence for Nova. Nova has been struggling. Both of these teams struggles on their defense. The execution coming in from both sides has been... They slow things down, but when they're ready to execute, they land the shots that they need to, and they play off of each other so very well, getting picks off here and there where we only see like one, but trades out happen immediately. Ascent, though, being kind of a different flavor to what we've seen out of Bind, what we've seen out of Lotus. Ascent is that equalizer. Ascent is a very balanced map in the way that attack and defense can be played here. So what we want from Minotaur, like I said, it needs to be quick, it needs to be decisive, it needs to be executed quickly, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that double duelist out from them again.
It's been a comfort pick for them. Why not? I want to know which duelist, though, we will have Retro land on, because that's been the key meister of this position. We've had them be on Raze at the beginning, and then they went over onto Phoenix, which really was a nice dynamic interlude moving on to Lotus. But otherwise, they've had to really kind of talk to Sushi and see, all right, how do we want to be able to split this one up, especially as we saw some of that weakness on having a Jet on Ascent whenever we had our first match of the day. But we go to the last one of the day, and you guys have been so fantastic to join us for this awesome showcase of this Ascent to Glory, this one in particular being powered by XP League. So when we go to Ascent, it's really about how swiftly, like you were talking about, making decisions for those rotations. We saw over and over and over and over and over again A site hits and then extra conditioning to push that away. Nova likes to condition. Do you think they're going to push some more of that here onto this map?
I wouldn't be surprised if they do, right? The Nova seems very comfortable on certain sites and where exactly they want to execute. The interesting thing that we've seen out of them so far in their composition, speaking, we saw the first map, double controller, second map, double initiator. For Ascent, I'd be surprised if we see double initiator again, or that double controller lineup, that double controller setup. It works out so well on this map, and already we're seeing what the Minotaurs are going with. They have Tokyo Sushi on the Jet, Nash Fort with an Omen over on the side of Nova. Sort of a similar things here, whipping out the KO as opposed to the Sova, though.
Yeah, and this is, I'm going to see how this really gets expanded, because I think Retro is actually talking at length about what they're, yes, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Yep. They go to the Reyna. They have shown a full-fledged gambit of anything that isn't Jet. That's pretty much what we get. They want to be the pressure play duelist, whereas Sushi is more of a support duelist, really kind of playing as the extra add-on of more of that killing capacity. So I don't know where Lobos is going to land. They've really kind of stuck to that chamber, and Oreo is otherwise going to land on that Sova. Very meta does Nova look, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I agree. Lobos, that chamber comfort pick for them, I don't think is going to work out here on Ascent. Chamber just is not going to be able to hold down a site. They're not going to be able to lock it down, which is what the Sentinel needs to do. It is really cool if they can land the crazy headshots or something like that, but Lobos is really leaving us in suspense here as to what could be happening for them. And it's Chamber. Okay, all right. The Nova electing to continue to stick with the KJ, and we know the value of what KJ is able to bring to the table when they are ready to lock down a site. Put up your setup on A. That long corridor going onto the actual site itself that we see here, that little strip of land, it can be completely covered by the nano swarm grenades. It makes it so much difficult for them to get onto there and to execute onto site. That's the power of what KJ brings to the table. And then on top of that, her lockdowns, right? Prevent them from being able to get onto site. And that's something that Nova, when they are able to work that way, especially when you think of them on their attacking side, I think that KJ is still going to give them more than what a Chamber is going to give to Minotaur.
Lobos has been employed at this point because they are constantly trying to be sneak thief in their contacts whenever they find any of a Nova, is to quickly and or at start of rounds, be in a different position at all times. They're going to be taking some of those mid duels, and they're also going to be really kind of held up per position. But I think that it's going to be kind of a wild card situation as to where they put Lobos at any given time, as to where they're going to be, because that's really your major, I guess, your value that you're getting from a Chamber at this point because of the Killjoy differential there. But luckily for that same squad, I mean, you have the kill button that is retro. You have Sushi that's been able to run behind them just as quickly, and there's a lot of speed off of Jet and off of Raze, but it's also going to be about how that burst really does evolve. You're going to have Omens across the board, and you have a KO that really kind of went untouched this most recent patch. They said, that robot right there, no, doesn't need an extra fix or two. They're fine.
Yeah, they work perfectly. They don't need no tweaks. They don't need any WD-40, Monkey Man. They're operating at peak efficiency. The real big topic of discussion as well, I think, is Retro, right? Retro has been the consistent top fragger on the side of Minotaur, going over on Reyna.
Yeah.
Reyna is a particularly volatile pick, right? It goes in one of two directions. A very selfish agent, but an agent that, if it's in the hands of a player like Retro, can come up so massively. And I think it's going to help out Retro with their fragging potential on top of that, being able to devour, get yourself some health back, and more importantly, dismissing. I think there was a lot of opportunities where Retro could have won out in fights if they were in a better position to actually be able to take the fight. And so that's what the Reyna is going to be giving to them. But here we are, Monkey Men. All the players are loaded in. The final map of this Ascent to Glory kickoff, powered by the U.S. Army, Army ROTC, and Esports U. And like we've been saying, what better way to end it than on Ascent?
Glad you brought me down to earth. I don't know why I was talking about Raze. Maybe just seen too much of her. But this Reyna, it is going to be some level of play. And Retro is still, I think, going to be the tip of that spear, especially off these Leers. As we creep over to A, you have a 3-man hold onto it. Less for midpoint, which is really the dynamicness that you get from the alarm bot. Retro is just going to spam through. They're going to walk through, and they're going to be dead through, as both of the duelists, while Retro and Sushi will drop straight from entry as the plant goes down.
It's a really scary moment. Location revealed by the grenade. Mondo is going to swing through, get the headshot onto Shasha. The first kill that they got as well onto Retro was through the smokes. Beautifully well done. Maddie wanted to try and take the fight in hell, but Cappy gets the headshot there. Lobo, low HP, still finds one, but Maddie, all they had to do was sneeze on them, and they fell over. Nova, a really good first pistol round that they've been able to do time and time again. Still, though, Minotaur on their attack were able to win out in this anti-eco round. We're going to see if they can do that again, Monkey Man.
It's going to be difficult for kind of really recognizing where that power play of the 3-2 separation for Nova is going to stack. Because with this alarm bot, they're playing with a rotation of defender side in mind. They're not going to be really kind of plinking too much in mid until they really want to start challenging some of those sniper duels. And it's at this point, Killjoy, I mean, they're just flashing in their hand how much better they are. Cappy is gonna sit Sushi down so quick in tiles.
Yeah, prove out who's the better Jet here. Use a Marshall, get the headshot. really just becomes that the cherry on top, and Cappy more than happy to put it out there. Minotaur don't really know where they want to go just yet. I mean, Nash is stuck here in mid. They could try to take out the fight in tiles, but wherever they go, it's going to be a deadly attack for them. And in fact, actually, Nova's just not peeking out any at all. They don't need to. They've already done the damage from here. Another attempt. Lobo somehow still alive, but only with 19 HP to their name. Still going to try and peek their way through the smoke, but they're going to have to be so careful in doing that.
And Spike has made no progression. It's going to hang out of that fountain. It may very well stay there if they do not get in these rotations. Retro is going to hop until they stop, and then they're going to pop straight through the skull of Maddie. And now looking for some of these sniper battles, maybe hit through the chest cavity and create a hole there. Get to watch their own teammate. Whoa, now gets sprayed down as continuous movement will render Retro is kind of a memory, looking for one quick snipe, and that's Mondo good for 3. It was a little scary. Retro trying to lead the charge, but the cavalry stumbled through.
Yeah, the Minotaur decision to go in through mid kind of fell apart for them. You can see that they wanted to go for guns. Hadn't quite decided to go on to B just yet, but the big problem that happened there was if they had gone on B, the only one that was sitting on site alone by themselves was Oreo. They had taken out the KJ. That should have just been the go-ahead. Go to site ASAP. Don't fight it out here. At least plant the spike and get the extra credits that come from that in your economy.
And ultimately, they lay where they lay, and look at the pressure that Nova's bringing out. We talk about the shift of starting positions from offense to defense. Well, you know, some people have to remind other teams, hey, you're on defense when they get that aggressive. I mean, look at the fan out that Nova's bringing, all sweeping in from A. They're leaving Maddie by themselves for this killjoy defensive position, and that's where some of these swarm grenades are going to make it uncomfortable to try and step their way through. You do see now both duelists on site, and they're finally going to allow that spike to come and join them into this 5v5 retake as Nova's trying to win this bonus.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult for them. Lobo's walking through smoke. That's 2 kills. Maddie and Cappy wanted to take the third one on the stairway, but Kyle's Spectre, a little bit close range, is going to find a lot of success there. Shasha forced off towards backside. We see Mondo finding Retro there, but firing through the smoke, not able to get very many picks. Mondo, a couple of headshots onto Retro, but not securing the kill. Oreo, I don't know how you did that, Oreo. I don't know where you even had the inkling of shooting from there. Maybe it must have been from the recon dart. Retro now swinging out, but Oreo's Guardian finding a lot more success there. Still fighting it out. The spike is ticking down, figures out exactly where Nashford is. They don't really need to fight this out here. Nash is going to take the swing, lop the head off of Oreo, and give Minotaurs their first round.
At the very end there, here's the problem. Much like all of our initial halves from our previous 2 games, Minotaur, they do surrender the third. Bonus not gained this time. But every weapon was dropped. All the rebuy has to occur, and they have less money in their pockets than I generally did whenever I was just trying to go to the theme park. Very, very poor.
They're forcing this.
Well, it's because this is the first rifle round. You're gonna see you're gonna see that operator in Cappy's hands, who's out in mid, and they're waiting for anyone to jump, peek, pop, or otherwise be able to put a big 50 cal bullet into their body. So Nova, again, in a position of power and dictation for success right now, is Minotaur. It takes them a while. Even on this attacking half, it's been tough for them to make these better reads here on Ascent.
It really has, and you can see that Cappy's trying to gather the information with that operator, but Minotaur is not going to give it to them. This is going to be a quick and decisive approach onto site, but Mondo is going to be able to dance around, find the pick onto Lobos, and slow things down using their Molly. Shasha only has 5 HP, and the Minotaur has just been completely taken away. Throw out the 0-point knife, not able to find any information, I don't believe, but yeah, at this point, no, it did find a lot of information. Figured out a lot of Minotaur still hanging out towards A site.
Retro looking to punish anyone that wants to get aggressive because Nova so far has showcased not being afraid of that. However, they generally do it at start of round to repel, to take up space, to steal it. Retro, they have no idea that people have stuck behind. They're going to be at least looking for the swing. Oh, and then they get caught as Kyle kept good discipline But that operator will render them nearly useless, and they'll be able to at least pick up one. But Nash Fort left in a rough position. He'll be able to at least get rid of his ghosty doppelganger, but they have to plant that spike, and they're just running through the boards. They are going to get taken down as soon as they hit bricks.
Yeah, Mondo knows where they are. Saw just a little bit of the spike. Nash is going to try and stick it, but... well, sticking it is not in the cards for them today. Mondo coming up big, and now this is a disaster for Minotaur. They wanted to force out that round, but instead, they just forced themselves to save in this one.
That's pretty much my expectation. After the first 4 rounds, if you see like a 2-2 or 3-1, you'll see a round 5 save. That's pretty much always what's happening, unless you're seeing some level of 3-man save. Pros do that. These guys... they're aspiring to be that. But Nova, so far their defense, this has been a better one. Ascent can be kind of rough. Let's follow this knife. Oh boy. All right, cool. We'll see that at least 2 are out here. So we're gonna be able to shut down a couple of abilities and make it less fun to move through. And again, they take a player off and just hopping around these bullets.
Yeah, Cappy's going back and forth in mid. Retro could be a potential casualty here. We got to play a little bit of a catch-up. The feed has frozen. I do believe that, well, Retro hasn't fallen, but another on Minotaur has, and yeah, that is Retro who has, unfortunately, bit the bullet.
Unfortunate. They'll be chilling out as they kind of hang out here in mid, but Nova still the 5-man stack, hanging. Oh, just a spread line, great defense. This is theirs to win, or rather to lose, because, I mean, they just have the better buy at this point. And Minotaur, I mean, you're talking about decisiveness. They need to pick a spot, and every single spot they pick has already been stolen out by Nova. Nash is looking to get a right click on aggression, but it's not to happen. They do not have anything but a paranoia to walk them in with, and they're just going to kind of peek their way through. You have the owl drone looking for a tag, and you do the fragment, the paranoia combination, but the flash retake, and everyone's ready for them into the 3v3. Everyone's blind, deaf, and dumb, but they do get one wallbang headshot. Maybe a plant will come through in the final few seconds. The Sushi, they're just not going to live through to see it go either way.
Yeah, it was going to be a tough round for Minotaur to win. Big props to Cappy, though. They went back and forth inside of market through mid and a B main, completely locking down that site and preventing anyone from really walking through it. And they were able to get, I believe, 2 kills inside of mid on top of that, right? They take out Lobo, they take out Retro, and that kills any momentum that Minotaur had in their pocket whatsoever. And this is why even throughout all of these nerfs, Jet is still a very powerful agent. Her dash, sure, it's gone down. It went from 15 seconds to 7.5 seconds. It was halved completely. But she still has that dash. She can still use that operator to get out of danger. It just needs to be a little bit more deliberate. And this is why she's still a very powerful agent and a very powerful pick until potentially found out somewhere there. But Cappy, seen by the recon drone, not going to take any chances, just backing off, setting themselves up with the operator towards their CT spawn. No! What in the world? That shouldn't have happened. Cappy should not have gotten away with that. Even if the smoke were there, Cappy is just gonna rip heads off. Nova not missing a single beat, Monkey Man.
Oh my goodness, blink and you would have missed it. Blink and you would have been slower than how quickly Cappy decided to cap that player. My God, Minotaur. Flawless, gonna happen for Nova as Sushi left on the conveyor belt and they're being walked away on a dirty plate. That was nasty. Oh, that was so gross. I love that. Wow, nothing left to be said about it. As you have this coach spin it around. Let's see it again. Single updraft, nerf, psh, don't matter. Lobos was turned into dust and echoes.
It was, if Lobos had been able to get that kill, it could have gone in a totally different direction from Minotaur. I say that though, but even throughout the rest of that, Nova locked down B site. Nobody was getting inside of there without a death, and it completely happened like that. The first shot goes through. Retro is going to be a casualty in mid once more. They cannot find anything here. Minotaur has just been suffering this entire time. Tokyo Sushi to try and take the fight inside of Tree. The jump shot, the blade, the knife hits Kyle in the eyes. Now up in the air, Cappy gonna try and use one of their own, and my goodness, the blades are deadly. Trying to get out through the smokes, but Shasha says nah.
Eventually ending Cappy's reign of terror as they will now have even more the electrostatic discharge of this Hunter's Fury, getting rid of that default plant out of Jenny and being surrounded on all sides. Maddie will be able to gun down both Nash and Sushi. Well, they got the plants. That's about the victory margin that we get to have in this one, but wow, it is something to be said about the lethality that Nova is posting up with right now. The operator, well, maybe a crutch for some, but it's a power play that's just Minotaur unable to find an answer for right now.
Yeah, it becomes so much difficult when you try to execute on site for Minotaur when you have a player like Cappy landing operator shots like that. They don't even need an operator at this point. They were able to show up with a Blaze Storm going on to site. It's just that when Minotaur is trying to take these fights out in different sections, whether it's in mid or it's in default positions, trying to get something out there, they just can't do it. Retro has been suffering under the weight, and this Reyna, like I said, it can go one of two ways. It's a volatile agent, and so far it's going in the side of, well, volatile bad.
The not dog play? They decided to go a little bit to the left. Or, Cappy is throwing bows faster than a middle schooler at lunchtime. Quickly trying to get over to the lunch line and get their snacks. And they are just smacking them with that operator as if it was a baseball bat and they're aiming for home runs. Nova right now at 6-1 through the first 7, and no one wants to take a fight against Cappy. There is confidence brewing through that player.
And already we see another pick happen here. Oreo does fall. That could be the lifeline they need to get into B side. The smoke was necessary. Cappy was hiding out there. The bullet still goes through. Got dangerously close to Nash's legs, but they still get to use them to walk onto site and be able to plant it. Minotaur, it's a 6-1 affair, and so far what we've seen out of them, an attack that's been immaculate, but now the immaculateness is starting to rust over. That's a word, right?
I think so. I'm adding it to the Webster's dictionary. But they're gonna have that. They're gonna have that lockdown, and that's gonna create this position of stress for Minotaur as they have to rock and roll against it. That's not exactly a place they can survive. They have to be able to take on these fights and win. You also have, it's not a lockdown, sorry, it's the null command. And so the no fun police were out. It's a 2v2 at this point. Make it one on the ground, but the attackers will take it. Shasha and Retro, the first time in what probably feels like forever, are be able to at least hold that site post plants. And that no command, I mean, it gives you away if you're a KO. You're basically, giant beacon on me, come get me. And if you can't get the kills while it's happening, you're basically dead and done.
Yep, exactly. And listen, Retro heard me. Heard what I was saying. That round was theirs to win, and they were able to do that. Nova, it was Cappy with that operator. Still got it back in their hands, by the way. They could go ahead and buy it. But yeah, if Minotaur, they got onto site, but they got on there quickly, and that's the most important thing. Cappy missing that initial shot through mid. Not going to stay there, electing to rotate back towards A and hold tree.
So we do see some of that lean out here. And Retro, I mean, when you see a lot of this tree push, it's generally an option for later after they've already tried aiming. Otherwise, this one is actually a very early lean. Retro seem to, they want to get aggressive. Lobos, you're going to take out Maddie, so there's no extra. And you see now Cappy just turning into a moving 50 cal as Shasha will hang out from distance, and they're going to get this plant off, but the retake is also being stuttered. The Odin will ruin Retro, so they no longer have that aggressive point. And now it's up to the retake of Nova in those 3v4, and that's just going to chop Shasha down.
What a read by Kyle. Realizing that someone was going to come up to Kyle. Shasha had their knife out, just couldn't get out of there. Now Cappy with the Odin in hand, fires through the box, gets the wallbang kill on Tokyo Sushi. Kyle whiffing the shots. Now we have the 1v1 Cappy. Beast Nash. But they just couldn't land the shots. They couldn't get the read on where Cappy was going. Now a defuse for Nova. A dangerous round that Minotaur could have won, but a round that Cappy came together for and gave it back to Nova.
Disgusting. Cappy's on something. Check the man's computer. Things are crazy over there. Cappy capping at 11-4. No, they're one away from their Blaze Storm, which the last time we had that, they were able to land a few kunai into the chest cavities of others and get a headshot too. Nova, 7-2. No matter which side of the park they start from, their first halves continue to be very influential. Cappy, maybe they're going to turn this one straight at tiles. But Retro is going to be covered by a dark cover. Oh, and the initial miss. And so as Cappy's going to have to back up. Lobos didn't even move. What? He's just what?
What is going on? Lobos should be counting their lucky stars. If I was Lobos, I would have gotten the heck out of there immediately. But Cappy is still gonna fight it out in mid. They still have that operator. They put away, they whipped out the knife just at the wrong time as the cloudburst went away. Maybe not used to that new timing just yet. Now another opportunity for that operator, but denied the opportunity for any heads to be found, but still a lot of damage. This one agent alone, this one player alone is making this mid push so dangerous. Let's go fire through the wall, why not?
See if we get the last knife to land. And yeah, see if they have just enough wallbang damage to either get a headshot or at least put some of that free fire out there. Marshall's available. Sushi and the gang are hanging out at Pizza Place, praying they have a coupon and give them a free medium pizza, but there's a large topping of oof as you see them being laid down one after another. Finally, Retro,
No way.
They will slap, snap, and get rid of the cap as Cappy will fall back.
It was like you said, a Marshall is just a faster Retro as long as you can land headshots. Unfortunately for Tokyo Sushi, they weren't able to land any shots. Mondo on the flip side landing the killing blow. Oreo in Boathouse with an Odin in hand. Retro is going to be gunned down by it, still trying to get the spike planted, realizing that it's going to be on the other side of that crate. A shock dart landing onto Shasha, knowing that they're over on the other side. And Kyle close out a round once again. Minotaur so deliciously close every single time on these rounds, but it just feels like it slips through their fingers, Monkey Man.
I mean, they get close in regard to they touch sight, but much like many people touch grass, it's only for like a little bit of time. And when they really got deep into the mud of B sight, it was not clear. They were getting there with desperation and 15 seconds left at most. So Nova continue to dominate. Minotaur, chase and tail. We've seen them mount comebacks, present themselves with success, but look at the buy that they have to position themselves with. Lobos will have some extra creds, maybe for some of his teammates into next, depending on if any of these rifles drop, because they are going to use that tour de force, and that has to find some influence, where it has not really throughout this first half, but in this current round.
Yeah, slowed down by the smokes. Mondo not being found out by any of the bullets. Retro already found their way onto site, but not going to be finding out anything other than that. Kyle getting the pick there, a second one for their efforts. It's still a 3v3 Lobo caught, pinged with the... Oh my gosh, the recon dart and not getting caught by the operator shot. That's so deadly. Lobo, what are you doing? They're playing with fire.
Oh no!
They have the spike. It's disaster in so many forms, Monkey Man.
That's just ego peaking at that point. You're trying to catch timing. You're looking and praying maybe to come into it. This is a 1v2. In the weirdest sense possible, this is winnable. But you have a lot of gadgets between this Sova, who is cleared out through heaven, or hell rather, and Shasha, who's going to put a recon dart out there and see if they get a spray. But no one identified as the spike is in the worst place possible for them. They know where Shasha is. There's only one place for them to go, unless they're going to break that door, when that door either has to go up or they have to, shoot it down. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's Pop goes the weasel, and Shasha got.
Last round in the half.
That crate, that heaven, was sending a lot of people to heaven, and Nova was more than happy to do that. I would definitely be calling a timeout here for Minotaur. That was a fumble and a half, honestly, Monkey Man. It really, I mean, you think about what could have been had the spike been planted, that would have forced Nova to take the fight to Minotaur. But yeah, egos were just reigning a little bit supreme there. I think they wanted to try and take the fight with the tour de force. It was an execute on the side. It was a 3v3. It could have potentially swung into anybody's favor, and it just Nova had control of that spike, and once they had control of it, it was all theirs.
You got to think that Lobos had no idea he had spike. There's like maybe at the very start, but when you pop the tour de force and then you come through, you get in a different mindset and you're looking for some of those big picks to relieve your team space. But you got to think he just forgot, had no idea had that spike. Otherwise, there's no reason that thing should have been up there. But regardless, you know, we go into our final and of this first half, and another 10-2 might be on the way in favor of Nova. Minotaur, I say that for Nova because of the buy situation we had previous. We're back in the bargain bin buy, and an operator's getting bought by Lobos. We've been unable to really find the broadside of a barn. So 7-10, Nash holding the fort down at the top for the squad, and Nova, they are rich.
They're rich, flush with cash, and honestly, with the way that this half has been going, they don't really need to worry about the economy anymore. It's all in their favor. This is just going fast. Oreo getting hit by the Hunter's Fury, but still able to find a pick onto Retro. They wanted to overwhelm them with force, but there is not going to be any force found here. Now Maddie showing us the power of this KJ. The lockdown goes forth, and Oreo is just a bulwark. No one's able to get past them until Nash takes the swing. They peek, they crouch, and they spray for dear life. That is a beautiful molly, by the way, from Mondo. It lands right exactly where it needed to be. The defuse is going to happen, and Lobos is going to walk to his death with that operator.
You know, I feel that in my soul right there. Great fragment grenade, though, by the KO. That was fantastic. But we do rock and roll our way over onto the second half, which has statistically been worse for Nova and better for Minotaur. So this is just a Minotaur comeback story in the making. But let's really kind of paint this picture. Killjoy as a Sentinel really is powerful. I don't think it can be understated for Ascent as a whole. When you see the opposite for Chamber, you're going to be able to put your trademark out in mid, which will basically serve as the aptitude for the alarm bot of a Killjoy. Otherwise, we need to see those shots get hit. That's what Lobos is built for. And I see them playing off of Retro maybe a lot more to make more of that lethality and move a bit quicker.
Yeah, and here's already going to be the issue that Minotaur is going to run into with not having a KJ with the Chamber as opposed to a KJ. There's not going to be any lockdown of the site. They don't have to worry about mollies. They don't have to worry about nano swarms. They don't have to worry about anything burning their feet alive. And look at that. It was there was basically no resistance on A site. It was completely free for Nova to get onto.
They really hyper stacked, but they're also looking for the retake. This is where I think they will shine when it comes to these duels. They're going to triple swing coming out of heaven. Mondo does clear one, and Oreo will be dropped. So renders all to one, and actually turns it to a 1v, well, nothing, as you do have Minotaur able to get this retake. I like this idea. Recognizing that maybe they don't have the best gadget preset for these rounds, so weaponize your duelists, keep them alive, and that's where they really will thrive on a defensive position.
Yeah, agreed. They go for the retake instead of just gathering information and then going to fight it out once more. I will be interested to see how well that's going to work once guns start getting in the hands of Nova, as to whether or not that's going to be a good strategy, right? They're going to have more utility. They can get things set up just that little bit better. The biggest issue I think that happened there for Nova is that they were feeling very confident about fighting Minotaur, and that confidence proved to be their undoing. Lobo holding in mid with this Marshall, not gonna let Cappy do the same thing. What, they're just gonna walk through it? Oh. What?
Lobos is unafraid. Look at this player and tell me that they're afraid. Go up mid, W key warrior as a Chamber, because why not? Now everyone wants to join in the party. They're like, Lobos is a mid? He's able to get a trade. And Nash Fort, well, because of all the distraction, they do at least get a spray onto their twinsy Phantom. So, no more ghosts, no more smokes for any free entry, which means blinds will have to happen, and you get maybe a cloud burst that lasts for 2 seconds. Cappy, gotta be either get to capping, or maybe Nova will just have to rotate away. Still, they were able to enter site for free last time, but now they've at least got Shasha, who just wants to bonk their head on the ceiling, because why not?
Yeah, a little bit of a concussion. That's going to help out the aim. It's a true story, Monkey Man, tested, tried, and true, okay? A really good 0-point knife knows exactly where they're going to be. The Ares in their hand. Guns down Cappy, looking to mow down some more, but hit with the Nano Swarm. A lot of damage thrown out their way. He's going to be forced to reload, but even throughout all of this, Nova only has 2 players left. And here, Itchy Shasha, you should be okay.
Should be. Also has one of the coolest Ares skins in the game because, you know, Oni is Mega Sauce. Retro, they're gonna walk up and die. And Shasha will cover down. Turn this into a 1v3. Bit of inspect happening by Sushi as Mondo walks in. They don't have enough time for the plant.
Don't have enough time for the plan. They wanted to hunt down Nash, maybe be able to get down there, but Nash running away with that much is, yeah, sorry, Mondo walking away with that for an anti-eco round is still really good because now they go into this bonus and look what Minotaur have. Nothing, basically.
True. And gotta wonder about maybe a bit of the ish, maybe the BM, maybe the fun that's being, you know, had in kind of indirect communication between these teams because, you know, that's the other half of the battle for the mentals with these squads. Retro is gonna hope that this pixel walks straight into their crosshair, but no one's there initially. I don't think they even got scanned out, but they are gonna walk it out. Very, not timid, but measured patience about this initial run-up by Nova. Lobos is gonna get punished. Oh my god, the 5-stack!
Oh my word, I don't think they were quite expecting everyone to be right there, and I would be very shocked, be very scared about what's going on there. Cappy, beautiful execute onto sight that Tokyo Sushi was just not ready for them to be behind them. Okay, walking through, okay. It's just press W key, walk through smokes, and get shot in the face by a Sheriff Day, I guess.
You know what? I guess they got maybe some extra homework to get done moving into the first semesters. You got Oreo laying down Retro, and then everyone running at Shasha. Eventually gets taken out by their counter, so 11-4. So Nova will get him with the counter punch. You were talking about how it was going to be difficult in the first place. They are going to be playing for the rifle round now, considering that was kind of into their save. And otherwise, now this is where the grind begins if Minotaur is going to be able to bring this back.
Yeah, the Minotaur, this is their road that needs to start here, right? There's no other options. They need to dig deep, Monkey Man, if they want to begin the 8-round streak that they need in order to, at the very least, get into overtime with Nova or be able to win out here. And for Minotaur, it's going to be so difficult. Tokyo Sushi, that's a really great way to start things off, though, on tiles.
Great recognition that instead of being on the main thoroughfare of a catwalk, that they were up on that lip to be able to just get them off that default headshot lane. Another nasty take by Cappy on the wall bang, and then again, as Sushi tries to be able to counter swing, now the null command will be rocking through. You have Nash, who not going to be able to get any off that spray with the Odin, and this 2v3 retake is going to be real tough, and you're going to have Retro come alive.
Yeah, that you are. Mondo, the fun police came out, throwing out the flashbang. Not going to catch too much there. Not going to get a lot out of it, but still the Molly. Retro using the Leer. Finds one pick onto Maddie, but not going to push the envelope any further than they need to. The 0 point is going to stall things out for just a little bit longer, buy some more time. Still finding it out in hell. Retro knows that they're there, wanting to maybe fight Cappy, but Mondo swings, gets the pick. Now we have the 1v1, but Shasha only has 8 HP. Mondo knows exactly where they are, reposition themselves perfectly, executed Shasha, and brings Nova, Monkey Man, match and series point.
Oh boy, catching him by surprise. No mystery thriller there. No zoinks to be seen or heard by them as they come from out of heaven. But now Minotaur in a rough position. Look at this buy. They really can't have much. It's going to be a full scatter, a Sheriff, maybe a single rifle, a Marshal, an Ares, and a Bulldog. Shasha holding the fort at the top, just above Nash Fort. But it's Nova that is in full control. They've got a lockdown, and it looks like they want to employ it, but they make that initial read, and it looks like they may actually be leaning back from it. I thought that we were going to go with maybe that lockdown play for B.
I thought there were too. That felt like it's what they wanted to do, but maybe realizing that Shasha has the Hunter's Fury could destroy the lockdown, so
That's true.
just want to wait and maybe get a couple more picks out of there. Yeah, Cappy's going to start things off low. Oh! Hey, hey! Finds the one headshot that they needed, but not going to be able to get out of there. Mondo executing right back onto this. Minotaur still might have their chance, their opportunity, and an opening. Rotate over with A inside of tree. Nash hears the footsteps, but can't see anything. Smoke denying their visions and the opportunity. Sight's going to be taken by Nova, and they're just going to set themselves up perfectly. It's going to be the Hunter's Fury to stall things out, perhaps, but really not going to be getting nothing. Nothing.
Bit of an overswing. The lockdown could be employed for later. You have the scan off the owl drone, and the lockdown is going to create a lot of time. Minotaur is going to be left with very little, but look how aggressive Mondo is getting. Using the fragment, going to disrupt a lot, as especially they get some of this flash. You have two in the back, and Minotaur, they need to win this fight, but they're just not gonna. You have the From the Shadows, and Nash, if they don't commit to it, they're actually going to lose that one. They get the spray down onto Oreo, but they can't get it done on Jenny. Ah, fiddlesticks. We're not going to see any kind of comeback. Nova gets the job done in 17, and they dominated game 3.
That they did. 13-4. A immaculate performance coming out of them here on Ascent. And the way that Nova were just able to play this map really put Minotaur on the back foot. We sung the praises of the Minotaur attack, but Nova proving that even the sharpest spear can be dulled through determination and effort. And Nova put that out in spades. What a spectacular performance here for the Ascent to Glory kickoff, Monkey Man. I mean, really, Nova looked kind of on the ropes on Bind, and maybe not. They showed up big time on Lotus, and
yeah,
it was just like progressive improvement for this team throughout the maps.
I feel like there's still so much growth capable of this Minotaur squad. It's odd to see. Well, I mean, maybe not odd, a bad word, but being able to kind of see that the degradation of the comeback, because they were consistently finding themselves in a position of disadvantage. They never had a good first half, just never. Not once, not ever. And that's unfortunate, because this team shows so much promise when they eventually got to that second and then found their rhythm and their game. When it came to Ascent, I mean, Nova really kind of just showcased, look, we're going to get this job done. We're not going to tease it anymore. We're not going to have any extra fun with it. Lotus, for their map, really kind of showed the playbook about how they want to be able to rotate. And it wasn't too off the hinge. There was that one play where they rotated from C to A, which, because of the conditioning of just not wanting A, I like that idea. And I think that maybe that they're going to be able to employ that a lot more. But Minotaur has some great players on them. It's just about being able to get them activated so much earlier. But a ton of credit over to Cappy, who just came in.
Yeah. That's what I was, I think, MVP of Ascent that I wanted to talk about. They didn't top frag, right? Mondo beat them out in that respect, but the hold down, the lockdown that they had with the operator, it really stalled Minotaur out. That's kind of what made the attack so difficult for Minotaur and really pushed them into these awkward positions, and showing us that, yeah, sure, Jet may have been hit hard with the Nerf hammer, but an agent to be feared, and especially in the hands of Campy, something very, very much to be feared. But we are going to go to a short break to get an interview set up with none other than Mondo. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be an interview to remember.
I wasn't born a leader.
It wasn't given to me.
I couldn't buy it.
How'd I get here?
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
Decide to lead as an Army officer. What do you expect from that first job out of college? Working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it, and make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
I promised you an interview, and an interview we did get. It's not going to be Mondo, though, but we did get someone just as great. That being Extreme Kyle. So, Kyle, first of all, a big congratulations on your win. It was an amazing turnaround, especially after what happened on Bind. So, that's actually going to be my first question to you, Kyle. Is what was the sort of changes that needed to happen after Bind to get the success that obviously happened for Nova?
Well, at first, this was our Bind was our first map playing together, so we were trying to figure out what kind of comp we wanted to run. We tried double controller, and um, I think we did not play it correctly. We played it more like a senti role, so we made the adjustments towards Lotus, and then as we got through the game, we slowly figured out how the other team played, and then we kind of picked around their playstyle.
Looking at how all these games happened today, we got to see one match before you guys and really kind of seeing maybe a lot of the changes of the patches that have been coming through. How are you feeling right now about kind of your agent selection that you tend to, and I guess the rest of the team? Has it been hitting you guys pretty hard from with all the patch changes?
I think it's hit the duelists especially hard because of the jet nerfs, but most of our team they're pretty flexible. I think we'll be fine just playing around the agents. I think all the agents are pretty well balanced so far, so we just need to play well together, and then we'll win the maps, close them out, and win series.
I mean, you guys have, I mean, showing just to that exact same measure, you were looking at how dynamically you're able to respond. We talked about Bind being kind of the comeback happen that occurs every now and then. Minotaur's looking pretty good, but how's the play shot calling changed up whenever you had Cappy come in? And then, I mean, who's your main IGL? What was really the change for some of those play calls?
I believe on Bind, we did not have set IGL, and we were just taking like individual plays, not playing together, and just coming up with strats. I think towards Lotus, we had two people IGL, and then on Ascent, I think I took a little bit of initiative, just trying to set up like our defense. Then for attack, I believe Cappy and the others IGL'd on that portion. And I think that was an adjustment we needed just to make set plays and then execute upon them, make protocols.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, we obviously saw that happen map after map, right? Bind was a little bit rough, and then going into Lotus, things started getting better, and then Ascent, it was nonstop. What it felt like for Northern Virginia, and so I guess looking forward to this, some of the big changes and some of the ways that you want to go ahead and forming together this team. What are some of the things that going to be like implement right away?
I think first throughout scrims, we need to figure out what comps we want to run and what agents we want to run for each map, and probably think of figure out what's our permaban. Because everyone has their weaknesses. We probably have a weak map that we did not want to play, but I think we can build upon our strengths. And as our chemistry grows, I think we'll be able to just win a lot more.
I could definitely feel the chemistry tonight, and it really did start to formulate more and more as the evening and as the series went on. So, once again, Kyle, a big congratulations to you in Northern Virginia on your win here tonight. Any shout outs that you want to give before we close things out here?
Yes. The head of our Nova esports department, John, he's really helpful setting all these events up, as well as twitch.tv/mondo and twitch.tv/maddie. If you want to watch two of those players out, you can go watch them on their streams.
All right. Well, there you go. There you have it. Make sure to go and check out all of those amazing streams. Get a chance to take a look at that. And once again, Extreme Kyle, thank you so much for joining us here. It was really great to be able to pick your mind and get a little bit of insight into how things are looking for Northern Virginia when it comes to the Ascent to Glory.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, Monkey Man, that is going to be it for us for tonight. But man, what a two series that we had. The best of one, obviously powered by Vanta, the best of three, powered by XP League. These series are so much fun to watch in how we get to see the growth of players and teams.
Yeah, honestly, you could say that second match went to the extreme. It was so good. Honest, just seeing this as a kickoff for an academic year, I will be doing puns like that all the time. I pray I don't get fired right now. Either way, seeing this showcase, I can't wait to be able to find more of these throughout the entire season from this point onward into 2024 because look, the talent's there. They're going to be coming out from this hot summer, and they're going to be even hotter when we see them on the maps.
Yep, exactly. There's going to be many more weeks of Ascent to Glory in the future, so make sure you go ahead and hit the follow button. This Ascent to Glory kickoff was just a taste, an appetizer of the delicious feast that is to come. And of course, a big thank you to the U.S. Army, Army ROTC, and Esports U for helping to power this event and make it possible. We'll see all of you on the next one.
I wasn't born a leader.
It wasn't given to me.
I couldn't buy it.
How'd I get here?
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
I decided.
Decide to lead as an Army officer. What do you expect from that first job out of college? Working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it and make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.